Chapter 21:14. Old Master, you had lost several games in a row. If he lost this alchemy competition again, it would be really shameful, so he came up with such a way to ask Old Master Zhao for help. "I'll lead the way." After listening, Lin Yi's face was calm and said faintly, "Yes." The disciple nodded. On the surface, he respectfully led the way in front, but he secretly sent a text message to Old Master Zhao with his mobile phone. Lin Yi asked about the content of the competition, and he had already rushed to the meeting hall. In the meeting hall, after Old Master Zhao received the text message, he handed the phone to Old Master Yu with a gloomy face and said, "Your previous strategy didn't work." Lin Yi didn't give up. He also asked about the competition. When he heard that it was alchemy, Lin Yi came. Even a blow at the early stage of Heaven Stage couldn't kill him. It's really strange. Old Master Yu was furious when he saw the text message. This alchemy competition was prepared for the Yu family, but now it seemed to be tailor-made for Lin Yi. Second-grade medicinal pills were nothing in Lin Yi's eyes. Except for the small qi-gathering pill, which Lin Yi took, Lin Yi didn't even look at the Foundation Establishment pill, Small Huan pill, and Meridian Unblocking pill. What did this mean? It meant that Lin Yi should be able to refine it himself. The reason why the small qi-gathering pill was accepted was probably because the refining material was more expensive than the others, so Lin Yi took it. However, the other materials were not precious. They were expensive in the grade of the medicinal pills. If Lin Yi could refine it himself, naturally he wouldn't care. "Grandpa, what should I do? I can only refine a first-grade medicinal pill now, and I'm not 100% able to refine it. When Lin Yi comes and directly refines a second-grade medicinal pill, won't I lose?" Yupan Hu said, "However, it's fine if I lose. According to the rules of the competition, whoever refines the higher grade of medicinal pills wins. I can get second place no matter what. But the key problem is that Lin Yi got first place again. How could old man you want Lin Yi to win first place again?" The Yu family was an aristocratic family that focused on alchemy. If an outsider won the alchemy championship, it would be a slap in the face. Not only would it lose face for the Yu family, but it would also lose face for their master, the Heavenly Elixir sect. He absolutely could not lose this face. They couldn't let Lin Yi win this match. That's right. We must think of a way to prevent Lin Yi from getting first place. Old Man Yu said, "Coiling Tiger, in other competitions, it doesn't matter how our hidden Yu family's ranking is because the Heavenly Elixir sect doesn't care. However, if it's an alchemy competition, it will be a slap in the face. The Heavenly Elixir faction will definitely be unhappy." "Yes, right." Coiling Tiger nodded. "That Lin Yi is really despicable." "Old Master Yu, I have a good idea." Old Master Tang spoke up. "Oh, what good idea? Grandpa Tang, please speak." Grandpa Yu quickly asked. "Change the rules of the competition." Old Master Tang said, "Let's change the rules of the competition. Whoever is able to refine a third-grade medicinal pill in the shortest amount of time within the allotted time will be the winner, and so on and so forth." Third-grade elixir? How is that possible? Even I can't refine it successfully. Old Master Yu was stunned and asked, "The rule is to fail." Old Master Tang smiled and said, "Old Master Yu, do you want Lin Yi to win? Or not win at all?" "That's right." Old Yu was suddenly enlightened. "Although we changed the rules to refining level 3 elixirs, and we can't win this competition, it's impossible for Lin Yi to win. When that time comes, everyone will lose. There won't be a problem of face." "Grandpa, this is a good idea, but it's a bit of a pity." Right Coiling Tiger sighed. Originally, he wanted to be in the limelight in this alchemy competition. However, when he found out that Lin Yi was also participating, he didn't have the mood. "It's not a pity, it's the only way. Otherwise, if Lin Yi wins again, I will die of anger." Old Master Yu said, "Okay, let's follow this rule." On this side, Old Master Yu changed the rules of the competition. Lin Yi and the others also came to the meeting hall. Han Tianba registered Lin Yi's name and bet, then sat quietly by the side, waiting for old Master Zhao to announce the rules of the competition. However, whether it was Han Tianba or Han Xiaopa, they had unprecedented confidence in this competition because they knew that Lin Yi was an alchemist. Alchemy was Lin Yi's strength, so the chances of winning this competition were still very high. However, although Lin Yi looked calm on the surface, he was smiling bitterly in his heart. I know alchemy. Let Han Jingjing participate. That's more like it. However, Lin Yi didn't want to reveal Han Jingjing's trump card too early. The tree that stood out in the forest would be destroyed by the wind. Han Jingjing wasn't Lin Yi. Lin Yi had some trump cards and self-protection methods, but Han Jingjing didn't. If the Hidden Yu family or the Heavenly Elixir sect realized the crisis and sent people to kill Han Jingjing, it would be too late for Lin Yi to cry. Therefore, there was no need for Lin Yi to let Han Jingjing participate for such a small bet. Even if Han Jingjing participated, there must be a heaven-defying reward for Lin Yi to consider it. Lin Yi didn't even have the mood for this kind of small fight. The reason why Lin Yi appeared here was to form a kind of pressure on the Hidden Zhao family, the Hidden Yu family, and the other aristocratic families. He told them that the power of the early stage of Heaven's stage couldn't do anything to him. He was still alive and kicking. It was to let their conspiracy against him rest first. Sure enough, these people were a little surprised when they saw Lin Yi participate in the competition with a normal expression. One had to know that the disciples of the Golden Bell sect were injured to the point that they couldn't get out of bed. The disciples of the Fire Wolf gang were already dead, and the disciples of the Yu family were nowhere to be found. Yupan Hu, how are you? This time, shouldn't your Yu family change the bet to a second-grade medicine cauldron? I think that thing is pretty good. Why don't you give me another one? Lin Yi saw Yupan Hu and greeted him with a smile. Damn, do you think a second-grade medicine cauldron is a street item? It's not easy to take out a first-grade medicine cauldron as a bet in this competition. A second-grade medicine cauldron? Do you think my family produces medicine cauldrons? Right Coiling Tiger heard Lin Yi's words, as if he could definitely win, and immediately said in a displeased manner, Stingy. Lin Yi shrugged. Chapter 21:15. Coiling Tiger. Old Master Yu shouted to Yu Coiling Tiger, don't argue with him. So what if he's a second-grade medicinal cauldron? He has the ability to win first. Yes, the rules of the competition haven't been announced yet. Do you think you're omnipotent? Yu Coiling Tiger curled his lips. Old Master Yu nodded and gestured to Old Master Zhao to announce the new rules. Well, everyone already knows that this competition is an alchemy competition. Next, I will announce the rules of the competition. Old Master Zhao said, the rules of this alchemy competition are, whoever can refine a third-grade medicinal pill in the shortest time within the stipulated time will be the winner. The second and third place will be the same. There are no restrictions on the type of medicinal pill. As long as it's a third-grade medicinal pill, it is in line with the rules of the competition. Next, the contestants from the various families and sects, please take your positions and prepare to refine medicinal pills. Third grade. Lin Yi was stunned. Who set the rules? Are they retarded? Is there anyone here who can refine third-grade medicinal pills? If third-grade medicinal pills were so easy to refine, Rock Candy wouldn't be so worried. Yes, it's third grade. Seeing Lin Yi's puzzled eyes, Old Master Zhao nodded proudly. Sure enough, Lin Yi couldn't refine it. Is there anyone here who can refine third-grade medicinal pills? Lin Yi asked. Don't worry about others. If you can refine it, then do it. Yu Coiling Tiger sneered. Oh, I can't, Lin Yi said faintly. I can't even make a first-level pill, let alone a third-level pill. I said before that I would forfeit this match, and now I'm fulfilling my promise. Lin Yi said faintly. Don't even mention a third-level pill. Huh. You Coiling Tiger was stunned. It wasn't surprising that Lin Yi forfeited. After all, he had long felt that Lin Yi couldn't refine third-grade medicinal pills. What surprised him was Lin Yi's words. He couldn't refine first-grade medicinal pills? Was this possible? Wasn't Lin Yi an alchemist? Why couldn't he even refine first-grade medicinal pills? Thinking of this, Yu Panhu looked at old Master Yu suspiciously. Lin Yi, don't talk nonsense. Who doesn't know that you're an alchemist? You can't even refine a first-grade medicinal pill? Who are you trying to fool? Do you expect me to believe that? Old man Yu snorted and said, I know you can't complete it because the rules are so high. So you want to provoke me on purpose? It doesn't matter. I'm not angry, and I don't believe it either. If you had said that you were injured in the morning and didn't have enough true qi to concoct pills, I would have believed you. But you used such a clumsy excuse to say that you gave up. Really? Hey. Lin Yi looked at old Master Yu speechlessly and shook his head. He said regretfully, in this day and age, no one believes the truth. I really feel sorry for your IQ. Tisk, do you think I will believe what you said? Old Master Yu snorted. Lin Yi, just give up. Don't find so many excuses. I didn't find any excuses, Lin Yi said and looked at old Master Pai. I say, old man Pai, I said before that if I give up the competition, you will give me a bottle of body-tempering potion, right? Now I give up. Give me the body-tempering potion. Old Pai had forgotten about this. After being reminded by Lin Yi, he remembered the bet. His face suddenly darkened, and he blamed old Master Yu for changing the rules of the competition. Let Lin Yi win, so be it. The rules were changed. Lin Yi gave up, and he lost a bottle of body-tempering potion for no reason. You can't blame me for this. If you want to blame something, blame this alchemy competition. If there was no alchemy competition, I might not have given up. Lin Yi said, so what if I give it to you? Old Master Pai didn't dare to renege on Lin Yi's belongings. Old Master Pai was just an external early-stage Sky Class Master. He didn't have the strength to challenge Lin Yi. Originally, if an external early-stage Sky Class Master didn't have any special skills, he could only be on par with an internal late-stage Peak Earth Class Master. Even if old Master Pai's martial arts focused on Divine Fist, he could only be on par with an internal early-stage Sky Class Master. But Lin Yi was fine against an early-stage Sky Class Master. Old Master Pai couldn't win against Lin Yi, so he could only take a step back and accept his loss. That's great. There's a reward for giving up. It's not a loss. Lin Yi nodded proudly and then nodded to Coiling Tiger right. You guys continue the competition. There's nothing else for me to do. I forfeit as well. Panhu, you felt that something wasn't right. This Lin Yi didn't seem to feel like he'd been set up by someone else after reading the rules. He didn't seem to be angry at all. Instead, it was as if he was taking pleasure in his misfortune. But Coiling Tiger right couldn't figure out what the problem was. As for old Master Yu, he also felt that something seemed to be wrong, but he couldn't figure out what the problem was for the time being. Coiling Tiger right announced that he had given up, so the others naturally wouldn't be able to concoct a third-level pill. Not to mention the hidden houses. Even the ancient sects wouldn't be able to concoct a third-level pill. This competition could be said to be an impossible task. Since everyone has given up, the competition is over. There's no winner. All houses and sects, please collect your bets. Old Master Yu announced. Lin Yi happily took the body-tempering potion that old Master Yu had sent someone to get him, as well as the bets that he had bet before. He happily left with Han Tianba and Han Xiaopa, leaving behind a group of people staring at each other. Grandpa, why doesn't Lin Yi look depressed at all? It seems like he's very happy with this result. Coiling Tiger, right, felt that something was wrong. I feel the same way, but that Lin Yi kid is very cunning. Even if he's unhappy, he won't show it. His goal is to make us unhappy, so don't fall for it. Old master, you said, after some thought. That's right. This kid is the best at acting, or else he wouldn't have been able to trick my 2 cauldrons. Coiling Tiger Right nodded. Old master, you, because of this rule change, our hidden house pie lost a bottle of body tempering potion. You can't blame this on us, right? Old Master Pie said unhappily. He didn't dare to wrestle with Lin E, but he wanted to get some benefits from Old Master Yu. Chapter 21:16. If that's the case, thank you. With Elder Yu's promise, Elder Pai didn't say anything else. Lin E, Han Tianba, and Han Xiaopa walked back to their temporary residence. On the way, Han Xiaopa said angrily, Boss, this rule is a bit annoying. It seems like it's deliberately targeting you. Who can make a 3rd-level medicinal pill? According to the information we received before, the rules of the alchemy competition are that the higher the grade of the alchemy pill refined, the shorter the time used to refine the pill. Why did it suddenly become a 3rd-grade pill? Oh, were the previous rules really like what you said? Lin, he was slightly stunned. Yes, and the alchemy competition of the previous Hidden Summit has always been like this. It hasn't been changed for a long time. It's hard not to think that the sudden change this time is to deliberately target you, boss. Han Xiaopa nodded and said, He, Elder Yu and Coiling Tigerite. Lin E smiled. This alchemy competition. Lin E was ready to give up, otherwise he wouldn't have made such a bet with the Hidden House of Pi. But it seemed that the Hidden House of Pi was too careful. Seeing that he won so many matches in a row, they didn't want him to continue winning. So they deliberately changed the rules of the competition. In the end, not only did they not harm Lin E, but they also harmed themselves. Lin Yi's original idea was to casually trade a useless treasure for a bottle of body tempering potion. It would be an equal exchange, and there would be no loss. But what Lin Yi didn't expect was that he didn't lose anything, and earned a bottle of body tempering potion for free. Yes, they are really evil, Han Xiaopa said. But fortunately they didn't win, so we didn't lose in this competition. Hee, not only did we not lose, but we also made a big profit. Lin Yi smiled. Although my injuries have healed, I have used up a lot of pure energy. If you ask me to concoct elixirs now, I really can't even concoct a 1st-grade elixir. I didn't lie to you before. Ah, no way. Han Xiaopa heard Lin Yi's words and suddenly became overjoyed. Ha ha ha. So, this old man, you lifted a rock and smashed it on his own feet? It's so cool. If they knew the truth, they would probably regret it. Sometimes they may not believe me even if I tell the truth. Just like before, I told them that I can't make medicinal pills. I can't concoct pills, but they don't believe me. Lin Yi said, That's true. But this matter of making a fortune, quietly, I don't care what they think. Han Xiaopa's mood lightened up instantly. Although they didn't get 1st place, Lin Yi was still the biggest winner. Huh. Isn't that the disciple of the Hidden House of Yu? Han Tianba suddenly frowned and looked at the forest not far from his temporary residence. There was a person there. At this moment, he was kneeling beside an Uncle Yang with a blank look on his face. He was muttering to himself, but no one knew what he was saying. And this person was actually the hidden disciple of the Wright family who had previously competed in the fight against each other. Lin Yi also frowned and followed Han Tianba's gaze. Sure enough, it was the injured disciple from the House of Yu. You guys go back first. I'll go take a look. Lin Yi sighed. He didn't know when it started, but his heart was no longer as cold as it was when he first returned to the city. Was it because of Xiao Xiao? Xiao Xiao had helped Qin Shi a lot, and he was very touched by it. Was it because of Xiaoka? Xiaoka's dedication and sacrifice for the children in the orphanage. It moved Lin even more. Or was it because of the Mrs. Cold on the outside but warm on the inside, and over time he was also influenced by her? In short, when Lin Yi saw this disciple of House Yu's desperate and helpless expression, Lin Yi sighed in his heart. This person was pitiful, relying on the hidden house of you. He thought that he would have a bright future, but he didn't expect to end up like this. If Lin Yi couldn't see it, then so be it. But when he saw it, he felt like they were in the same boat. In the past, Lin Yi had similar despair and helplessness. That time when he fought against Ma Zhu of the Golden Bell Gate, Lin Yi was heavily injured and thought that he would never be able to train again, that he would never have strength again. But at that time, Lin Yi's master's attitude towards Lin Yi was completely different from the hidden house of Yu. At that time, the mist did not abandon him and even wanted to go back to her hometown to seek refuge with him. This hidden house of Yu's disciple, on the other hand, was more miserable in comparison. He followed such a cold master, he was pitiful. Lin Yi silently stood behind this hidden house of Yu's disciple. This hidden house of Yu's disciple's meridians were broken. He lost his strength, and his body was heavily injured. Naturally, he didn't notice the person behind him and was talking to himself. "Sister, I'm incompetent. I can't avenge you in this life. I originally thought that I had a fortuitous encounter and reached the height of earth rank at a young age. I could rely on the hidden house of you to have a good future, but I didn't expect." This disciple of Yu's was talking to himself about his sorrow. "Sister, maybe you're already gone. I'm going to accompany you soon," listening to this hidden house of Yu's disciple. Lin Yi's heart was heavy. This person joined the hidden house of Yu to take revenge? It seemed to be for his sister? Yu helped the wicked, joined the hidden house of Yu, and became a lackey. You should have been mentally prepared for today, the day you joined. Lin Yi said lightly. "Ah." This disciple of Yu's was shocked. He didn't expect someone to stand behind him. He turned his head, subconsciously, and saw that it was Lin Yi. His mouth curved into a self-deprecating smile. "Did you come here to mock a defeated opponent like me?" Defeated opponent? Lin Yi looked at the disciple of Yu's with interest. "I pushed you from 3rd to 4th place. Don't you hate me?" "Hate? Why should I hate when I'm not as good as others?" The disciple of Yu's shook his head and said, "I hate. I only hate that I didn't follow the right master. You're right. I thought the hidden house of Yu would train me as their core disciple. I didn't expect it to be a lackey. However, I didn't help the wicked. I disdained being a thug for their family's disciples and fawning on those in power." "Oh, it's because you disdain that they used you to participate in the competition." Lin Yi smiled. This disciple of Yu's was stunned. He then nodded and said, "Yes, they used me as a tool. Those thugs only needed to flatter and help those young masters as bodyguards to get some elixirs for cultivation. But I had to risk my life." Chapter 21:17. At first, Lin Yi only sympathized with him slightly and told him not to die. That was all. But now, this Yu family disciple had piqued Lin Yi's interest. Regret? The Yu family disciple, shook his head. "What's the use of regret? If I can restore you to normal, are you willing to be my chess piece in the hidden Yu family?" Lin Yi glanced at the Yu family disciple and asked with a thought. "Pawn? You want me, a cripple, to be your pawn? What? You said you can restore me to normal?" The Yu family disciple was stunned. "You have the meridian unblocking pill and the small rejuvenating pill?" "Of course." Lin Yi nodded. Although Lin Yi was unwilling to take the meridian unblocking pill and the small rejuvenating pill, he still had a few pills after so many matches. "Haven't you heard how many matches I've won? Why are you willing to save me?" The Yu family disciple was puzzled. "And why do you want me to be the Yu family's pawn? Do you have any grudges with the hidden Yu family?" "Not for the time being, but it's hard to say in the future." Lin Yi said faintly. Although Lin Yi could heal the Yu family disciple with his true energy, he was not his confidant yet. Lin Yi could not treat him like a confidant. Moreover, the matter of being the Yu family's pawn was just a temporary idea from Lin Yi. It was good if this person agreed, but there was no loss if he did not agree. Not for the time being? Then you saved me. The Yu family disciple was even more puzzled. Lin Yi and the hidden Yu family had a deep hatred. After saving him, he could sneak into the Yu family. With his strength, as long as he did not assassinate those Heaven Stage Masters, it was more than enough to assassinate other Earth Stage Masters. However, Lin Yi said that he did not have any for the time being. It's nothing. Maybe we are in the same boat. I also had a moment of despair like you. Lin Yi sighed and said, In fact, I don't necessarily need you to help me do anything. What will happen between me and the hidden Yu family is still up to Old Man Yu. Sorry, I can't promise you for the time being. The disciple of the right family hesitated for a moment and rejected Lin Yi's proposal. This surprised Lin Yi. Didn't this disciple of the Yu family want to return to normal? He actually rejected his proposal. What did this mean? You don't want to return to normal? Lin Yi asked curiously. I am a grateful person. Although the Yu family treated me unjustly, they have given me a place to live and some elixirs to assist me in my cultivation. Although they abandoned me this time, it was my own suggestion to participate in this competition for the generous reward after winning. The Yu family did not force me to do so. The Yu family disciple said, So if the Yu family doesn't do anything excessive to me, I can't do anything to them and help you deal with him. I didn't expect you to be so foolishly loyal. Lin Yi shook his head. This is not foolishly loyal. If you can save me today and let me return to normal, I will repay you generously in the future. The Yu family disciple said, I was going to repay you to the Yu family, but I changed my mind. Repay you generously? Lin Yi narrowed his eyes slightly. What do you mean? A treasure map. The Yu family disciple said, I will tell you what it is after you save me. After this competition, I will return to the Yu family and get the treasure map. I will definitely give it to you at the right time. Treasure map. Let's not talk about whether it is true or not. Even if it is true, it is hard to say if there is any treasure on it. Lin Yi was not very excited. He said indifferently, Moreover, even if there is a treasure, why don't you find it yourself? I went there once, but it was inaccessible. I didn't find the exact place. The Yu family disciple did not hide it. After that, I want to say it as a contribution to the Yu family. I want the hidden Yu family to help me get a Qi gathering pill and advance to Heaven Stage to avenge my family. Are you sure you won't help me deal with the Yu family? Asked Lin Yi. If I feel that there is no need for me to stay in the Yu family, I will definitely seek refuge with you to repay you for saving my life today. The Yu family disciple said firmly. Although he did not answer Lin Yi's question directly, he also expressed his meaning. Forget it. Come with me. Lin Yi waved his hand. Although this Yu family disciple was foolishly loyal, if he went back and gradually discovered Elder Yu's true colors, he would probably slowly change his mind. Lin Yi could form a good relationship with him. Even if he could not use him to deal with the hidden Yu family, he could at least pass on some news. Thank you for saving my life. The Yu family disciple was overjoyed and stood up. He cupped his fist and said, after returning to the hidden Yu family, I, Yu Dake, will fulfill my promise and hand over the treasure map with both hands. Uft, cough, cough, cough. Lin Yi was shocked by the Yu family disciple's name. What is your name? Yu Dake, what's wrong? Yu Dake looked at Lin Yi inexplicably. He didn't know what was wrong with his name. It actually shocked Lin Yi to this extent. Then, what is your sister's name? Asked Lin Yi. My sister. Why are you asking this? When Yu Dake heard Lin Yi's question, his expression suddenly became vigilant. He looked at Lin Yi. Who are you? Who is Yu Xiaoka to you? Lin Yi didn't care about Yu Dake's expression and asked directly, Yu Xiaoka. Yu Dake's expression became even uglier. He seemed to regret telling Lin Yi his real name. He saw that Lin Yi helped him out of righteousness and wanted to give him the small rejuvenation pill and the meridian unblocking pill, so he revealed his real name. He was a person who would repay kindness. He didn't want to hide in front of his benefactor, so he directly said his real name. He didn't even use this name in the Yu family. In the Yu family, he used the name Yu Jiao. This was the code name of a Yu family disciple, just like Yu Shur-san. When the person in front of him heard his name, his expression began to change. Not only that, he actually knew his sister's name. Could it be that the person in front of him was his enemy? Thinking of this, Yu Daik suddenly became disheartened. He was clear about Lin Yi's strength. A full blow from a heaven stage master had no effect on him. The fact that he could stand here and joke with him was the best proof. Not to mention that he was injured. Even if he was in his peak state before he was injured, he wouldn't be able to beat Lin Yi. He couldn't escape the fate of being killed. So thinking of this, Yu Daik could only look at Lin Yi helplessly and regretfully. He could only blame himself for trusting Lin Yi too much. Chapter 2118. When he heard Yu Daik's name, he was just trying his luck. He didn't know that Yu Daik and Yu Xiaoka really had a relationship. No, I don't know him. Yu Daik clenched his teeth and shook his head. What Yu Xiaoka? I don't have a brother. Huh. Lin Yi smiled. You really are an idiot, aren't you? You're not that smart either. No wonder you're the one who's volunteering to participate in this tournament. So what? Yu Daik didn't care about his injuries or his life anymore, but Yu Xiaoka's news. All these years, he had been secretly investigating Yu Xiaoka, but he didn't find anything. He was sure that he had never mentioned this name to anyone, nor did he hint to anyone that he had any relationship with this name. But today, this person said his sister's name after hearing his name. For Yu Xiaoka's sake, I saved your life. It's fine if you don't want to admit it. Lin Yi waved his hand indifferently. Yu Xiaoka's life was already stressful enough, and suddenly a brother with a family grudge popped out. Wouldn't Yu Xiaoka die from exhaustion? So he didn't care that this person's sister was Yu Xiaoka. The Yu Xiaoka that Lin Yi knew wasn't the same person. Lin Yi saved him once, and whatever happened after that had nothing to do with Lin Yi. Yu Daik froze. Why did this person save him? Wasn't he his enemy? He was confused. Aren't you my enemy? When did I say I was your enemy? This is the first time I've seen you. Lin Yi said. Then the Yu Xiaoka you're talking about. Yu Daik hesitated and asked cautiously, Do you know Yu Xiaoka? I do, but I can't tell you where she is. Lin Yi said firmly, I don't want her to get involved in this random family grudge of yours. Just to my liking. Yu Daik slapped his thigh and said, I was just about to tell you not to tell her about me. I can avenge this hatred alone. I don't want to implicate her. I just want to find her and make sure she's living well. Pretty good, Lin Yi said. That's good. Daik let out a sigh of relief, as if a burden had been lifted off his mind. The Yu Xiaoka you're talking about, what does she look like? I'm different from you, Lin Yi said. Yu Daik was stunned and shook his head. That's natural. I take after my father. I'm not very good-looking, but I'm rough and valiant. I take after my mother. I'm pretty. Oh, Lin Yi replied faintly. Right, what's your relationship with her? Suddenly, Yu Daik's expression tightened as he looked at Lin Yi. It's okay, Lin Yi said. Really? Yu Daik felt that something wasn't right. He didn't want to give up. Do you want the pellets and meridian unblocking pellets? If you don't, then get out. Lin Yi said. Yes. Yu Daik quickly nodded. Then, do you have a photo of her? Can I see it? No. Lin Yi said. You really don't. Yu Daik was disappointed. She's not my wife. Why would I bring her photo out? Lin Yi said angrily. Then, wait, Yu Daik said. He took out a pocket watch and opened it. On the cover of the pocket watch, there was a photo. On the photo, there was a boy and a girl. The boy looked 4 or 5 years old, and the girl was only 1 or 2 years old. Yu Dake handed the pocket watch to Lin Yi and asked, "Then help me see if it's her." Yu Dake confirmed that Lin Yi wasn't hostile and wasn't his enemy. He couldn't wait to confirm if the Yu Xiao Lin he was talking about was his sister. "You're showing me a pornographic photo? Your sister isn't wearing a shirt. This isn't good." Lin Yi sweated. "How can I recognize such a small child? Do you think I have superpowers? Besides, I've never seen your sister naked before." Yu Dake was speechless. "You're so complicated for such a small child, kind of." Lin Yi said, "But I'm not sure. The only thing I'm sure of is that the Yu Xiao I know is also an orphan." "Then it should be." Yu Dake carefully put away the pocket watch and said, "Then I'm relieved. Whether it's her or not. Just think of it as a memento. But don't tell her about me. I don't have the time." Lin Yi said and walked into the temporary residence with Yu Dake. He asked Han Xiaopa for a meridian opening pill and a small recovery pill and gave them to Yu Dake. "Thank you. I'll leave first. I'll repay you in the future." Yu Dake cupped his fist and left Lin Yi's temporary residence. Lin Yi sighed. Was this the so-called cause and effect? Lin Yi was touched by Yu Xiaoka, and then he accidentally saved Yu Dake? Although he wasn't sure if this Yu Dake was Yu Xiaoka's brother, it seemed to be the case. "Boss, how did you save him? Isn't he a disciple of the Hidden House Yu?" Han Xiaopa had some doubts, but waited until Yu Dake left before asking. "Oh, I want to leave a spy in the Hidden House Yu. Don't talk about this." Lin Yi didn't explain much. "I see." Han Xiaopa didn't ask much about Lin Yi's plan. He said, "Boss, I think the single elimination tournament will be held tonight. You've just recovered from your injury. Why don't we forfeit?" "Not bad. Our Hidden House Han is already very dazzling. I'm very satisfied with it. The tournament after this is more complicated. It'll take a lot of fights to determine the winner. If Mr. Lin doesn't want to participate, then don't participate." Han Tianba nodded. "Let's see," Lin Yi said. Now that things had come to this, it was impossible for Lin Yi to not participate. If he refused, it would seem like he was really injured or afraid. Now was the time to establish his dominance. Killing 3 Earth-class warriors with one move wouldn't give Lin Yi too much time. These old men couldn't wait to get rid of Lin Yi. If Lin Yi didn't show weakness, it would be troublesome when he returned to the mortal world. "All right," Han Xiaopa nodded. Chapter 2119. "Let's go," Lin Yi said. Han Tianba and Han Xiaopa saw Lin Yi's insistence, so they didn't say anything else. They followed Lin Yi to the meeting room. Just like before, Elder Zhao announced the list and bets. Next up is one of the most important parts of the Hidden House Summit, the Single Arena Challenge. Due to the special nature of the competition, there was a limit of 1 person. Gantian Mountain's sect was good at 1 man and 1 beast fighting together. However, they had no advantage in one-on-one combat, so they gave up. Next, there are 8 houses and sects left, and they will draw lots to decide the top 4. Then they will draw lots to decide the top 2 and the 3rd place. The final winner will be decided from the top 2. Of course, if you don't want to participate in the competition, you can say so now. Life and death are fated in the arena. Unless one party admits defeat, they can kill their opponent. In the arena, no treasures or weapons are allowed. As for the other rules, there are no rules. Of course, after the top 3 are decided, for fairness, the next 4 can be given a chance to challenge. But the challenged can't be a previous opponent. For example, if you've already lost to your opponent in the elimination rounds, then you can't choose to challenge them again. Does anyone have any objections? This rule was fair, so no one objected. All right, since no one has any objections, then the competition will begin. Let's invite the participants to draw lots. Elder Zhao said. Lin Yi drew lots with the other participants. In the first round, Lin Yi's opponent was Pai Zhihai from the Hidden House Pai. This lot surprised Lin Yi. but against Pai Jihai, Lin Yi was more than enough. Right now, Pai Jihai was only an Earth-class, early-phase, peak physical practitioner, while Lin Yi was on the same level as him. But he was a spiritual practitioner. Spiritual practitioners were stronger than physical practitioners, and this was a well-known fact, unless there was someone like the Golden Clock sect. Therefore, with Lin Yi's current strength, there was no doubt that he could defeat Pai Jihai. Perhaps during the Ice Palace trial, Lin Yi wasn't a match for Pai Jihai, who was an Earth-class early phase. At that time, Lin Yi was only a mystic mid-phase peak. However, with the passage of time, Pai Jihai had only broken through one stage to the peak of early phase of Earth class, but Lin Yi had broken through several stages. This was the advantage of a spiritual martial practitioner over a physical martial practitioner. External experts could level up quickly in the early stages, but not in the later stages. However, internal experts were different. Lin Yi did not care about the opponents of the others. The 4 matches were going on at the same time. Lin Yi walked straight to the stage. Seeing this ranking, old Pai sighed in his heart. Why was he so unlucky? Before, in this competition, House Pai had made Pai Jihai a seeded contestant. After all, Pai Jihai's martial arts were very strong. One punch had the power to split mountains and split seas. With this kind of heavy punch, even an Earth-class late-phase peak would have to retreat. As long as he didn't meet the nemesis of the Golden Clock sect, his chances of winning were still very high. However, old Pai didn't expect the unexpected factor of Lin Yi. In terms of martial arts, Lin Yi was even stronger than Pai Jihai. Just from the competition that day, he knew that Lin Yi's martial arts were much stronger than House Pai's. So, it was impossible to compete with Lin Yi in terms of martial arts. But if he didn't compete in martial arts, he couldn't compete in other things either. If Lin Yi could take a full force attack from a sky-class early phase, could he? Old Pai's face was very ugly. He was like a deflated balloon. But there was nothing he could do. Grandpa, I'll go all out. Pai Jihai looked at his grandpa's face. How could he not know what he was thinking? He gritted his teeth. Don't be rash. Old Pai waved his hand. That Lin Yi is unstoppable right now. You have no chance of winning against him. You're not that strong, so you rely on martial arts. But Lin Yi's martial arts are still on you. So, after you go up, try to stall for time and go through the motions. Save your strength and challenge the top 3. Yes, Pai Jihai didn't want to give up, but he knew how strong Lin Yi was. The funny thing was that Pai Jihai and Pai Jishan wanted to find Ling Yi for revenge. Now that Ling Yi was right in front of them, and in the arena of life and death, they had to admit defeat. Thinking about how unwise it was for House Pai to provoke Lin Yi for the sake of the Xiao family. Lin Yi's follower was already so strong. Lin Yi must be even stronger. At first, he still had some hope. But now, all of the matches were with Lin Yi as the main character. Old Pai felt that it was time to avoid Lin Yi's sharp edge for a while. This kid wasn't easy to mess with. He was like a porcupine. If he wasn't careful, he'd get stabbed. Pai Jihai's aura weakened before the fight even started. He had hatred in his heart, but he couldn't vent it. He walked up the stage with Lin Yi and looked at Lin Yi with hatred, but he didn't attack. Pai Jihai was a martial arts fanatic, but he wasn't an idiot. He came up just to go through the motions. When Lin Yi attacked, he would admit defeat. Pai Jihai, I've killed many people from your house, Pai. But at the end of the day, my hatred towards your house is towards the common Xiao family, not your hidden house, Pai. So, I don't want to take your life in this fight. Lin Yi said faintly, it's easy for me to take your life. I don't want to bully you with your strength. How about this, you attack me. If I can't dodge it, you lose. How's that? No need. If that's the case, then there's no need to fight. I'm not as strong as you, so there's no shame in admitting defeat, Pai Jihai said with a fist salute. Pai Jihai's actions surprised Lin Yi. But seeing the smile on old Pai's face, Lin Yi guessed that old Pai knew he couldn't win. So he told Pai Jihai to save his strength and fight for the top 3 instead of wasting his energy and life on him. Lin Yi won. There was no doubt about it. Although old Zhao wasn't happy, he still announced the result. While the other 3 arenas were still fighting fiercely, Lin Yi's arena had surrendered without a fight. Boss, you're amazing. The fight hasn't even started, and he already admitted defeat. Han Xiaopa rubbed his eyes. He couldn't believe the scene in front of him, but it was true. Pai Jihai surrendered without a fight, and Lin Yi won. Lin Yi shrugged and turned to look at the battle. Basically, the outcome was already decided. Chapter 2120. Ma was the surname of the Golden Bell sect's disciples, but the masters all had the surname Jean. This was a rare situation in the sections. The Fire Wolf Gang, on the other hand, didn't have any advantage in this level of competition. Although the disciples of the Fire Wolf Gang were not afraid of fighting, they were still beaten by Tang Yu to the point where they didn't even have the strength to fight back. This kind of mindless puppet only knew how to blindly hit without any order. Therefore, Tang Yu easily found an opportunity and kicked them off the stage. Tang Yu won. On the other side, the Hidden House Yu's Yu Ba was fighting against the Hidden House Yu's disciple, winning by a small margin. On the other side, the Golden Bell sect's disciple, Ma Dashin, was fighting against the Hidden House Zhuang's disciple. Ma Dashin wasn't afraid of beating. The House Zhuang's disciples' attacks were like tickles to him, but he kept finding opportunities to ambush them. This was the difference between thinking and not thinking. Ma Dashin and the Fire Wolf Gang's disciple were similar in nature, but the situation was completely different. In the end, when the House Zhuang's disciple wasn't paying attention, he used his body to knock the Zhuang's disciple off the stage and won. After a short break, they drew lots again. Lin Yi's opponent this time was Tang Yu. Grandpa, I have no chance of winning. Tang Yu used to be a mystic mid-phase peak, but after House Tang turned to House Yu and the Sky Elixir sect, they received a lot of elixirs and Tang Yu's strength increased as well. He was now an Earth-class mid-phase peak. But even with this strength, Tang Yu didn't want to fight against Lin Yi. First, he felt that he wasn't a match for Lin Yi, and second, if he kept fighting, it would hurt their relationship. If Lin Yi let him go because of Tang Yin or Auntie Xiaoming, then he would have an unfair advantage. Tang Yu was a righteous man. He didn't want this kind of victory. Of course, Elder Tang didn't know what Tang Yu was thinking. He only knew one thing and didn't know the other. He nodded and said, "Then the Hidden Pai Jihai's choice is very wise. We, the Hidden Tang family, can't be the first bird to stand out." "Yes, so I also want to admit defeat," Tang Yu said. "Conserve your strength. When the time comes to fight for second and third place, don't even think about getting first place. In my opinion, only the people from Golden Bell sect can compete with Lin Yi." Grandfather Tang said, "I don't think they are a match for Lin Yi." "Okay, I understand." Tang Yu nodded. Therefore, in this match, Tang Yu didn't even enter the arena. He directly cupped his fists at Lin Yi and said, "Brother Lin, I admit that I'm no match for you. My sister is really lucky." After listening to Tang Yu's words, Lin Yi was somewhat puzzled. Tang Yu calling him brother made Lin Yi very puzzled. Was he familiar with Tang Yu? The more he talked, the more ridiculous he became. His sister had appeared. So who was Tang Yu's sister? Today, there was Yu Dake and Yu Xiaoka. Would Tang Yu also have a sister he was familiar with? However, before Lin Yi had time to think, Grandfather Zhao helplessly announced the results of the match. The Hidden Tang family admits defeat, the Hidden Han family wins, successfully entering the top 2, and will fight for the championship. Tang Yu didn't say anything else. Although the Hidden Tang family had fallen out with Tang Yin and Aunt Xiaoming, Tang Yu still recognized this sister and aunt. He was afraid that his grandfather would be unhappy if he said too much, so he turned around and returned to Grandfather Tang's side. How shrewd was Grandfather Tang? He was a sky stage master. How could he not hear Tang Yu's words? However, he didn't stop him. He had his own thoughts. Lin Yi was getting stronger and stronger. Now, the hidden House Yu, House Zhao, Golden Bell Sect, and House Pai all had masters who suffered at the hands of Lin Yi. In comparison, the hidden Tang family and Lin Yi had the least conflict. Although the hidden Tang family had sided with the hidden House Yu and the Heavenly Elixir Sect, there was no possibility of repairing their relationship with Lin Yi. However, what if the hidden House Yu and the Heavenly Elixir Sect were finished? He had to leave a way out for the hidden Tang family, right? This way out was Tang Yu. He would let Tang Yu form a good relationship with Lin Yi and Tang Yin. Once the House Yu or the Heavenly Elixir Sect lost their backing, Grandfather Tang would forcefully support Tang Yu and learn from the hidden Han family. He would have to recognize Lin Yi and Tang Yin no matter what, of course. He didn't know that Lin Yi had already forgotten about him and Tang Yin. As long as Tang Yin appeared, Lin Yi had no memory of what happened. It can't be? He surrendered without fighting again. Han Xiaopa looked at Lin Yi, who'd gone to the arena for a spin, and was speechless. Everyone else was fighting to the death over there, and Lin Yi hadn't even moved a finger, and he'd won 2 matches in a row. If he did the same in the 3rd match, then he'd probably be the strongest fighter in the history of the Hidden House Summit. He won the championship by surrendering without fighting in the ring. Although Grandfather Zhao was helpless and didn't want to see this result, he knew what the other families were thinking. Who would want to touch a terrifying existence like Lin Yi? If they met him, they would either get injured or die. There was no 3rd possibility. Instead of that, they might as well save their strength and fight for 2nd and 3rd place. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was already in the top 3. Even if he lost the championship match, he'd still be in the top 2 for sure. The worst he could do was 2nd place at the very least. On the other side, Ma Dashan of the Golden Bell Sect won by a small margin. Yuba of House Yu lost. This result wasn't too surprising. After all, Ma Dashan had his specialties. His body was extremely strong, and he used defense as offense. He always used sneak attacks when there was an opening. When you hit me, I'll use chi to defend. When you take a breather, I'll hit you. Yuba was strong, but he still fell for it. He was forced to the edge of the ring by Ma Dashan and was pushed off. Yuba didn't want to admit defeat, but he couldn't do anything about it. If he continued to fight Ma Dashan, he wouldn't have any confidence in winning. So he decided to save his strength and challenge the others in the top 3. The last round of the championship. Lin Yi of the Hidden House against Ma Dashan of the Golden Bell Sect. This match was going to be interesting. One was Lin Yi, who'd had no opponents this entire time, and all his opponents gave up without a fight. The other was the weakest of the 2, Ma Dashan, who'd used his body to force his opponents out of the ring. You're not going to surrender. Lin Yi looked at Ma Dashan and asked faintly, "Why would I surrender? Others might be afraid of you, but I'm not." Ma Dashan said coldly. Chapter 21:21. Humph, Senior Brother Ma is weaker than me. It's no surprise that you could injure him. Ma Dashan said, "I'm here to avenge him. I want you to know the power of the Golden Bell cover." "Oh, that sect leader of yours, Jin Wudi or something, died before he became invincible," Lin Yi said. Ma Dashan's face changed, his eyes burning with rage. Ma Zhu and Jin Wudi, they were the 2 greatest humiliation to the Golden Bell Sect. And the one who caused all of this was this Lin Yi. Ma Dashan didn't dare say he had the confidence to kill Lin Yi, but he did have the confidence to knock Lin Yi off the stage and trample on his ranking. He was angry, but he wasn't reckless. "I've seen your technique, it's just as though you only destroyed a rock. You can injure Senior Brother Ma Zhu, but you can't beat the head sect. The head sect, he died because of your scheme." "Oh, if you want to scheme, then so be it." Lin Yi looked at Ma Dashan and turned to Jin Gang. "He's no match for me. If you don't want him to die, you better make him admit defeat. You. Jean Gang didn't expect Lin Yi to be this cocky, but he had faith in Ma Dashin. Ma Dashin was only mystic late phase peak, but his mastery of the Golden Bell cover wasn't any weaker than Jean Woody. Jean Woody might have died to Lin Yi's lackeys, but Lin Yi himself might not be able to do anything to him. Otherwise, why didn't Lin Yi kill Ma Zhu? Moreover, Diamond had been paying attention to Lin Yi's matches along the way, but there were two matches he was most interested in. One was the martial arts match, and the other was the defensive match. These two matches were the only ones that could be used as a reference for the arena. The might of Lin Yi's martial technique could only be considered ordinary in Diamond Drill's eyes. It was far inferior to the might of a heaven rank expert. He was confident that Ma Dashin could also take on a heaven rank initial phase expert's resistance. Therefore, even if Lin Yi used that martial technique, it would not be of much use to Ma Dashin. As for Lin Yi's ability to take hits, although it was also very strong, it was not impossible for Ma Dashin to find a flaw. As long as he made use of it reasonably, he could still take advantage of it. Just like in the previous two matches, although Ma Dashin was the weakest, he was the final winner. Thinking of this, Jean Gang said coldly, "Lin Yi, don't be an alarmist. We will only know who will live and who will die in the arena. Oh, I'm just reminding you out of goodwill. Don't let your good disciple be killed by me. Don't get angry out of humiliation and take revenge. If that happens, your Golden Bell sect will be annihilated," Lin Yi said lightly. What a glib tongue! Jean Gang laughed coldly. If he dies in the arena of life and death, it's just his bad luck. This Hidden House Summit has been held for many years, and many disciples have died in the arena. I've never heard of any house holding grudges. Forget it. If that's the case, then I won't say anything more. Lin Yi sighed and shook his head. There's no need to say anything more. The nonsense is over. Let's begin, Jean Gang said. All right, Elder Zhao, please announce the start of the match. Lin Yi looked at Elder Zhao. All right, Hidden House Han and Golden Bell sect participants, take your positions. The arena match is about to begin. 3, 2, 1, begin, Elder Zhao announced. However, when Elder Zhao finished speaking, the match had already begun. However, Lin Yi did not move, and neither did Ma Dashin. Ma Dashin looked at Lin Yi cautiously. Offense was his weakness. Defense was his strongness, finding the enemy's weakness in defense, and forcing the enemy off the stage in one hit. This was Ma Dashin's style. Lin Yi laughed coldly in his heart. Through Ma Dashin's previous matches, he had already figured out Ma Dashin's tactics, so he was not in a hurry. He just stood there and looked at Ma Dashin without moving. Time ticked by. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes in the arena. The two people were still staring at each other. They had no intention of making a move. Originally, this match was supposed to be the most exciting and interesting match in the single arena challenge. At the start of the match, everyone present, be it the elders, the sect leaders, or the disciples of the various clans, all stared at the arena without blinking. They wanted to see the exciting match between these two experts, but now 20 minutes had passed, and the two still had not made a move. This made the audience a little anxious and lost interest. What were these two playing at? If they wanted to fight, then hurry up and fight. Why wasn't anyone making a move? Jean Gang frowned. He did not expect Lin Yi to use such a tactic. Generally, when Ma Dashin fought with his opponent, the opponent would make the first move. Then Ma Dashin would defend all the way and look for opportunities to attack his opponent. But at this moment, Lin Yi was not making a move. Was Ma Dashin going to make the first move? Once Ma Dashin made a move, he could not fully concentrate on the mantra of the Golden Bell Shield. If he was slightly distracted, the Golden Bell Shield might not be as powerful as it was when it was channeled. What if he was knocked out of the arena? Therefore, Jean Gang was anxious and secretly scolded Lin Yi for being shameless. He clearly knew that this was the Golden Bell sect's tactic but he followed suit and only defended without attacking. How was he going to continue fighting then? However, Jean Gang could not say anything. After all, Lin Yi did not make a move in the previous 2 matches and surrendered without a fight. Therefore, if he used Lin Yi not making a move as an excuse to attack Lin Yi, it would not be realistic. After thinking about it, he could only push Lin Yi and let Lin Yi make the first move. However, just as Jean Gang was about to speak, Lin Yi spoke first. On one hand, Lin Yi was paying attention to Ma Dashin's movements. On the other hand, he was paying attention to Jean Gang's movements. As long as one of them wanted to speak, Lin Yi would speak first. I say, Ma Dashin, is this all the Golden Bell sect has? I'm standing here and letting you hit me, and you're not going to make a move? Lin Yi laughed mockingly. Is it because of Ma Zhu and Jean Wudi that you guys are traumatized and don't dare to make a move? Why your bullsh asterisk ting? Jean Gang was furious. This was what he wanted to say to push Lin Yi, but he did not expect Lin Yi to say it first. He was shocked and angry, but there was nothing he could do. He could only retort, Lin Yi, you know that our Golden Bell shield is a defensive tactic. Are you purposely making life difficult for us with this tactic? Everyone can see that we've been using this strategy in our previous matches. Did you do it on purpose? Chapter 21-22. The energy bomb reappears you. Jean Gang said, I don't believe it. Why don't you make a move? Let's just keep this up and see who can last longer. Oh, actually, the reason why I'm not making a move is very simple. I might as well tell you my strategy. Lin Yi smiled and said, My strategy isn't to use defense as offense, but to wait for the opponent to admit defeat. Look at how angry you are. Why bother? Admit defeat? Huh. Lin Yi, do you think my Golden Bell Gate will admit defeat? Dream on. Jean Gang said, If you're afraid of losing, then say what you're afraid of. Don't come up with so many useless excuses. Admitting defeat is actually for the good of your Golden Bell Gate, because once I make a move, your disciple won't even have a chance to resist. He'll die in 1 move. Lin Yi shrugged and said, I only need 1 move. Huh, this is the funniest joke I've ever heard. Lin Yi, do you think you're very strong? Let me tell you, even yesterday, Ma Dashin could still withstand the power of an early phase heaven class attack. Don't think that you're the only one who can. I don't believe that your next attack can be stronger than yesterday's. Don't lie to me to admit defeat. It's useless. Jean Gang said. Then I can only make a move. You're stubborn. Lin Yi looked at Ma Dashin with pity. You're dead. If you want to blame someone, blame it on that idiot Sherfu of yours. He was too ignorant and arrogant. He killed you. Humph. Ma Dashin naturally had confidence in his master. He also felt that this Lin Yi was just trying to scare him into admitting defeat. How could he fall for it? Hearing that Lin Yi was about to make a move, he immediately activated his Golden Bell shield. 1 move, just 1 move. If you don't die, it'll be my loss. Lin Yi looked at Ma Dashin and said, All right, Lin Yi, stop talking nonsense. If you want to make a move, then hurry up. This is what you said. If you don't die in 1 move, it's your loss. Vajra Drill answered Lin Yi's question on behalf of Ma Dashin. This was because Ma Dashin was currently channeling his Golden Bell shield. If he spoke now, he would have to stop channeling his Golden Bell shield. If Lin Yi took this opportunity to launch a sneak attack, it would affect Ma Dashin. All right, Lin Yi nodded his head. He clasped his hands together and pushed them out. Then he shouted, Earth, rank martial technique. 3rd form, vacuum oscillation fist. After doing all this, Lin Yi quickly retreated all the way to the edge of the arena. With a loud boom sound, Lin Yi's true energy bomb directly hit Ma Dashin's body. In an instant, the mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. Ma Dashin's feet landed on the ground. The entire stone arena exploded into countless small fragments. Sand and stones flew all over the sky. In an instant, Ma Dashin's body was submerged. Lin Yi's true energy bomb had used up 3/4 of his true energy. Unless Ma Dashin had mastered the Golden Bell Shield, it was impossible for him to survive. When he was fighting with Ma Zhu, although Lin Yi had used up all the true energy in his body, Lin Yi's strength was still there. Now, even if he used 3/4 of his true energy bomb, it was still several times stronger than before. The power of this move, even Lin Yi did not expect it to be so powerful. Before, Lin Yi and Diamond Drill were facing off against Ma Dashin. Actually, they were all compressing the true energy bomb. When this true energy bomb was released, Lin Yi was shocked. After reaching the Earth rank, Lin Yi had never released such a powerful true energy bomb. Although he had used many true energy bombs, most of them were the kind that had been compressed for a period of time. Although they were also very powerful, they did not have such power. Although the arena was big enough, the true energy bomb brought wave after wave of power, and it still affected Lin Yi. Fortunately, this time, Lin Yi reserved 1/4 of his true energy to protect his body. So he did not end up in the same miserable state as last time. However, even if he had true energy to protect his body, it was certain that he would be injured. The entire arena was reduced to nothingness. More and more sand and stones were flying in the sky. Everything was dark. The elders and disciples below the arena were all silent. How could Lin Yi have such power? How could he have such power? They clearly saw that Lin Yi had used the strength of an early Earth rank to activate this so-called vacuum wave fist. Theoretically speaking, this was the third style of an Earth rank martial art. No matter how powerful it was, it should not have been possible for such a thing to happen. How powerful was that? Even Sky Class Masters might not be able to do that, but Lin Yi did it. The elders and sect leaders of the various sects were all protecting their disciples to prevent them from being hurt by the powerful true chi fluctuations. On the other hand, the flying sand and pebbles didn't cause much harm to the ordinary practitioners of the mystic rank anymore. Boss, this move is too powerful. Han Xiaopa looked in the direction of the arena in awe and reverence. The flying sand and pebbles hadn't dissipated yet, and it was still dark over there. But the more it was like this, the more it proved the power of Lin Yi's move. Mr. Lin, you always exceed our expectations. Han Tianba laughed. To be able to receive Mr. Lin's protection is the fortune of our hidden house of Han. Be it Elder Yu, Elder Tang, or Elder Zhao, all of them looked at each other in shock. The shock that Lin Yi had brought them was far greater than the previous matches. This move of Lin Yi's was enough to make them feel inferior. Lin Yi is definitely suppressing his strength. He is not an Earth class. Elder Yu frowned after a while. That's right. When he was in the sparring earlier, he was using Earth class early phase strength, but now he's using Earth class early phase peak. He's obviously suppressing his strength to confuse us. Elder Yu said, could it be the early sky class? Elder Zhao said in shock. Early? Do you and I have that kind of power? Elder Tang shook his head. If the 4 of us work together, do we have a chance of taking him down? Elder Yu asked. It's hard to say, but if we work together, we might be able to. Elder Zhao said. Elder Tang and Elder Yu, on the other hand, did not say anything. They both had their own thoughts. What they saw was Lin Yi's rise, and what they thought was regret. They should have tried to get Lin Yi on their side, not ostracize, suppress, and assassinate him. So, if it was possible, they didn't want Lin Yi to die. But the grudge was already formed. Wasn't it ridiculous to talk about getting him on their side? It seems that Lin Yi taking out 3 Earth classes with one move, one of which was at the late Earth class, was not a coincidence. Elder Yu said faintly, even if we take action, do we have the confidence to take out 3 Earth classes with one move? Chapter 21-23. Jean Gang's expression was the most terrifying. He looked at the flying sand and stones on the stage, and his heart was filled with anxiety. Previously, he thought that Lin Yi was just trying to scare him. One move? Who did he think he was, that he could kill his opponent with one move? However, after seeing the power of Lin Yi's move, he regretted not listening to Lin Yi's words and letting Ma Dashin surrender. Second place was fine too. It was better than losing. But now there was no room for regret. So Lin Yi's words were true? Finally, the flying sand and stones on the stage dispersed, and there was only one person left on the stage. There was only one person, and that person was Lin Yi. Ma Dashin had already disappeared, but from the scattered sand and gravel, it was clear that he had perished. Disciple! Jin Gang roared and wanted to run up the stage, but his rationality won out in the end. Lin Yi's move had completely destroyed Ma Dashin. If he went up, would he be a match for him? At that time, it would be like what Lin Yi said. If he went up and looked for a woman, then the Golden Clock Gate would really be the Golden Clock Gate. Thinking of this, Jin Gang calmed down. With Lin Yi's methods, he could not fight recklessly. He only regretted not listening to Lin Yi's words earlier. Gate Master Jin Gang, don't be impulsive. On the stage, life and death are up to the heavens. This is the rule of the previous Hidden House Summit, and no one is allowed to retaliate. Old Zhao was afraid that Jin Gang would act rashly and hurriedly reminded him. I know this. Jin Gang sighed dejectedly, as if he had suddenly aged a few years. He shook his head and sat down on the chair his disciple had attacked, and there was no way he could stop. All that was left was a bloody mess of sand and stones. The champion of the single arena challenge has been decided. It is the Hidden Han family. Next, we'll be competing for second and third place. Old Zhao announced in a low voice. Originally, Lin Yi and Ma Dashin were supposed to be first and second place respectively. Between Rain 8 and Tang Yu, the third place would be decided. But with Ma Dashin gone, it was now a fight for second and third place. Rain 8 and Tang Yu were rubbing their palms, wanting to fight for third place. After all, third and fourth place were completely different. But now it had become a fight for second and third place, and there was no need to fight anymore. The treatment for second and third place was the same. They could just take back their bets. As for the exchange fountain, it was entirely up to Lin Yi. If Lin Yi wanted to trade, then so be it. If Lin Yi didn't want to trade, then it didn't matter what treasures you took out. That was why Rain 8 and Tang Yu made a few symbolic gestures on the stage, and one of them admitted defeat according to their respective strength levels. Eighth brother Yu, I, Tang Yu, am not as strong as you. I will lose if we continue. I admit defeat in advance. Tang Yu cupped his fists and said. Both sides knew that fighting for second and third place was stupid. So, Tang Yu admitted defeat. Old Zhao didn't say anything. Rain 8 was stronger than Tang Yu. Even if Tang Yu was lucky enough to beat 8 Rain, it would be a huge loss. It was better to just admit defeat. The rankings have been decided. First place is the Hidden Han family. Second place is the Hidden Yu family, and third place is the Hidden Tang family. Is there anyone who wishes to challenge? Old Zhao asked. Originally, those who didn't make it to the top 4 and were eliminated wanted to pick up some scraps. They wanted to see if the top 3 had exhausted themselves in the arena. Then they would challenge them. But who would have thought that 8 Rain and Tang Yu wouldn't waste anything? They easily finished their fights, preserving their strength. They didn't seem to be exhausted at all. There was no chance of winning if they challenged them now. Those who hadn't made it into the top 4 and had been eliminated before were hoping to pick up some scraps. They wanted to see if any of the top 3 had exhausted themselves in the ring, so they could challenge them and take advantage of the situation. But who would have thought that Rain 8 and Tang Yu wouldn't waste anything, and would easily finish their fights, preserving their strength and not showing any signs of exhaustion. There was basically no chance of winning if they challenged them now. As for Lin Yi, no one wanted to challenge him. The arrogant Golden Bell clan disciple, Ma Dashin, was a good example. Isn't your golden bell shield powerful? No matter how powerful you are, you'll be smashed to pieces. If there isn't, then the top 3 families can come and collect their bets. Old Zhao looked at Lin Yi with a complicated expression. Did he win again? This hidden noble house summit had become a competition specifically for Lin Yi. It was a competition for Lin Yi to show off. Lin Yi looked at the bet between House Yu and House Yu, and he paused. This was because the hidden Tang families bet this time was a golden elixir of energy. This type of elixir could instantly increase a person's strength in a fight. Lin Yi saw Yu Dake use one during the fight against the Monkey King. This elixir, compared to Heibao's method of increasing strength, had much less side effects and harm. After all, the side effect of using this elixir was a few days of no energy, and it would take time to recover. This elixir stimulated the potential of the human body. But after a few days, there were no more side effects, and so Lin Yi was more interested in this elixir. Lin Yi had seen the recipe and properties of this elixir in Zhang Liju's notes before. The ingredients weren't expensive, but they were rare. But the price wasn't a problem for Lin Yi right now. The problem was that he didn't have the channels. Most of these ingredients were sent out by the ancient sects, and Lin Yi didn't have the channels to buy them yet. This elixir, on the other hand, didn't have that many side effects for Lin Yi. He could use the jade space to make up for the overexertion of stamina, and so to Lin Yi this elixir's flaws were the same as having no flaws at all. What moved Lin Yi the most was that it could instantly increase the body's potential, which meant speeding up the circulation of the heart, allowing the person's strength to reach the limit. What Lin Yi was thinking was, could this elixir shorten the time he needed to compress qi into a bullet? Although the Zhen Qi tsunami bullet was very powerful, the time it took to compress it was too long. Just like today, if it wasn't for the fact that he and Ma Dashin didn't fight for a long time, and that they didn't move at all, as well as the argument with Diamond Drill, Lin Yi definitely wouldn't have enough time to compress the Qi bullet. However, other than fighting against someone like Ma Dashin, where else would he get such an opportunity to fight against others? Whether it was Yu Shirsen who pinned Guan Xan down or Feng Erbying who attacked Su Shirhan, they all attacked immediately, giving Lin Yi no time to compress the Qi bullet. Chapter 21-24. Of course, this was just Lin Yi's guess. Whether this extreme vigor Golden Dan could fulfill Lin Yi's vision was yet to be verified. What do you want? I want the extreme vigor Golden Dan in your hands. Lin Yi looked at Tang Yu and asked, the hidden Tang family actually had a pill heart? This made Lin Yi a little surprised. It seemed like the hidden Tang family had a strong foundation. It was not surprising that the hidden Tang family had a pill. He relied on the hidden Right family and the heavenly elixir sect. Naturally, he had more advantages than the other hidden families. This extreme vigor Golden Dan was given to him by the hidden Right family. Using it as a wager meant that the hidden Tang family did not value it. There should be a lot of it. Since the Lin brothers want it, then I'll give it to you. Tang Yu smiled and said, the small rejuvenating pill in Lin brothers' hands. Can you give it to me? Oh, I'll give it to you. Lin Yi was speechless. This hidden Right family always bet on things like small rejuvenating pill, meridian unblocking pill, and foundation building pill. It was obvious that they did not want to give Lin Yi anything good. They were worried about Lin Yi. However, Lin Yi's action made the Right family and Kenzi slightly stunned. Lin Yi actually used a small rejuvenating pill to exchange for an extreme vigor Golden Dan. Was Lin Yi sick? The extreme vigor Golden Dan and the small rejuvenating pill required materials of similar value. However, the small rejuvenating pill was a Huang level 2 pill, while the extreme vigor Golden Dan was a Huang level 1 pill. The value of the two could not be compared. Was Lin Yi sick? Using a Huang level 2 pill to exchange for a Huang level 1 pill. If Lin Yi needed the extreme vigor Golden Dan, then it was also unreasonable. Who would use it? exchanging a Huang level 2 pill for a Huang level 1 pill. If he wanted to exchange, he should use something else, right? Besides, Lin Yi was an alchemist. He could refine pills by himself. There was no need to exchange at all. That was why Lin Yi's actions were baffling. Old Right Kanzi and Old Tang Kanzi had specifically informed Old Right Kanzi to place a bet on this first-grade extreme vigor golden pill. Their purpose was to make sure that, after Lin Yi won, Lin Yi would like to have a look at Lin Yi. Wasn't Lin Yi unwilling to use the pill as a wager? Then he would definitely give him the pill. Of course, using a first-grade pill as a wager was already a little against the rules of the hidden Noble House Summit. Although the level of the wager wasn't clearly stated, everyone's wager was about the same. Wasn't it a little inexcusable to take out a wager that was lower than the others? However, this time, surprisingly, no one objected because everyone had seen Lin Yi win so many matches in a row. They had long thought that the winner would be Lin Yi's family. This arena was originally agreed to be House Yu's victory, and the Golden Clock Sect and the other hidden houses would throw the match. However, with Lin Yi's participation, no one threw the match. Even if they threw the match or not, it would still be Lin Yi's victory. They might as well compete in strength. As for the hidden house Yu's wager, Lin Yi didn't care about it at all. It was just a jade pillow that could support Han Lian's cultivation. It could allow the practitioner to consolidate their realm even when they were asleep. This thing was simply a support item. In a place with little qi, it had little use. It was a basic item. Lin Yi, on the other hand, entered the jade space every day to train Han Lian. This pillow was useless to him. Moreover, what good could it be if House Yu was willing to take out? After trading with Tang Yu, Lin Yi prepared to leave with his winnings, with Han Tianba and Han Xiaopa following behind him. The three of them left the training grounds, leaving behind a group of sighing old Kanzi and the head of the sect. This Lin Yi used a second-level pill to exchange for a first-level pill. What's the meaning of this? After Lin Yi left, Old Kanzi and Right Kanzi couldn't help but ask. This was the question they had been holding in for a long time. Who knows? Old Kanzi and Right Kanzi found it strange as well. He also felt that Lin Yi's actions were a little strange. Yu, do you know? Me. Tang Yu shook his head and smiled bitterly. To be honest, I was just giving it a try. I didn't expect Brother Lin Yi to agree to it, but he did. It surprised me. That's strange. Could it be that Lin Yi urgently needs this extreme energy golden pill? Old Kanzi asked curiously. But doesn't he know how to refine it himself? Maybe. I think it's because of Tang Yin sis. Maybe Lin Yi bro gave Tang Yin sis face and let us exchange something good? Tang Yu hesitated and said, Is that so? Old Ken was surprised, but he shook his head because of Tang Yin. Then, he didn't go easy on us in the previous matches. I know. Yu, maybe it's because of you. As long as you are in the match, Lin Yi will look at us differently. But without you, he treated us the same. I see. Tang Yu smiled bitterly. Although he was suspicious, he felt that Lin Yi didn't seem to be very close to him. At least he didn't say anything unnecessary. Forget it. Who cares what Lin Yi thinks? Old Ken of the Right frowned. Old Ken of the Tang. Old Ken of the Right. Could it be that you want to repair your relationship with Lin Yi? That's naturally impossible. Old Ken said, We're on the same side now. I just want you, Ellie Ken, to use Lin Yi and get some good stuff out of him. That's more like it. Old Kanzi and Old Kanzi nodded. All right, disperse. I'm going to go back and study tomorrow's match. Lin Yi had consumed a lot of qi. Naturally, he needed to go back and recover. Although Lin Yi had released his power, it wasn't too safe here. If these people attacked him together, or if Diamond Drill lost his mind and fought with Lin Yi, then Lin Yi wouldn't have the ability to deal with it. And so, of the 36 stratagems, retreating was the best. Lin Yi decided to return to his temporary residence first. Boss, it's actually another champion. I'm both nervous and looking forward to tomorrow's duel challenge. Boss, do you think I'll cause you any trouble? Han Xiaopa asked nonstop as soon as he returned to his temporary residence. No, we'll talk about this tomorrow. I'm tired, I want to rest for a while. Lin said. He sat cross-legged on the bed and activated the second stage of the art of dragon mastery. He quickly recovered the qi in his body. Okay, boss, you rest. Han Xiaopa quickly nodded and said, in the blink of an eye, it was the last day of the summit. The Duel Arena Challenge was the last match of the Hidden Aristocratic Family Summit. It was said that there would be an additional match after this match, but the details had not been announced yet. With the hidden house of Han's information channels, they were unable to find out anything. Chapter 21-25. Xiaopa, for today's duel, let's just treat it as joining in on the fun. If we can win, then we'll win. If we can't, then don't force yourself. Lin, he said, these days, we've won so many matches in a row. I'm afraid that the other hidden houses and sects will do something to us. They won't dare do anything to me for now, but we can't not let them make a move on you. If they do, just admit defeat. It's just a match, we can afford to lose. I understand, boss. Thanks for the reminder. Han Xiaopa's heated mind calmed down in an instant. Yes, he'd won a lot of matches in the past couple of days, but that was all thanks to Lin Yi's hard work, and it had nothing to do with him. Lin Yi was confident that he could win today's duel, but Han Xiaopa wasn't. He had leveled up to an Earth class early phase and had been practicing Lin Lian's Forest Thousand Changes for the past 2 days. However, he could only barely activate the first form, and wasn't very familiar with it yet. So with his current strength, he'd most likely be a punching bag once he went up on stage. When the time came, others would take advantage of this weakness and bypass Lin Yi to deal with him. At first, Han Xiaopa's thought was to grit his teeth and persevere no matter what. But Lin Yi's words made him understand that he couldn't be hot-headed. Otherwise, he'd be at a disadvantage. If someone killed him in the ring, there'd be no place for him to reason. Han Tianba smiled in relief. He could tell that Han Xiaopa was a little hot-headed yesterday, but he didn't want to dispel his enthusiasm. But now that these words came from Lin Yi's mouth, Han Xiaopa understood a few things. Is the head of the hidden house Han here? The first match of the day, the duel is about to begin. Old Ken, please bring your contestant, Kenzi, and the wager to the meeting room to register and place their bets. Today's duel is a duel, so the wager is also double. The Zhao House's disciple, Kenzi, said. Double? Lin Yi's lips curled into a cold smile. It seemed like these hidden aristocratic families were waiting to make a comeback in this competition. It seemed that they had considered Han Xiaopa as the weakest link. If he could defeat Han Xiaopa in the arena, then no matter how strong Lin Yi was, it would be useless. After all, the rule of the Duel Arena Challenge was that if one of them lost or admitted defeat, then both of them would lose. Boss, it looks like they're prepared. They're planning to get their capital back at the end. After Han Xiaopa calmed down, he also realized the sinister plot of the others. It doesn't matter. It's just a double. So what if I lose? We've won enough. Lin Yi smiled and said indifferently, in comparison, this is just a drop in the ocean. You're right. We've won so many matches. Losing this little bit is nothing. Han Xiaopa said, at first, our hidden Han family's plan was to lose all the matches except for the racing competition. It's already very good, but the result is completely unexpected. It doesn't matter to us. As long as Mr. Lin thinks it's okay to give up, then there's no problem. Han Tianba laughed. The three of them chatted and laughed as they arrived at the hidden Zhao family's meeting hall. Originally, the hidden aristocratic families Kanzi and Han Zi thought that they had raised the stakes. Moreover, it was obvious that Lin Yi was at a disadvantage in this competition. Why were Lin Yi's trio still chatting and laughing? Could it be that they had some trump card? However, the trio had already arrived, and it wasn't convenient for them to discuss or research. Hence, after registering the participant list and wagers, Old Kinjao announced, "This match is a dual arena challenge. The rules are similar to yesterday's dual arena challenge, and no exceptions will be made. The rules are similar to yesterday's dual arena challenge, and there must be 2 people on each side. Golden Bell Gates, Chi Quan." At this point, the atmosphere was a little sad. The head of the Golden Bell Gate, Diamond Drill, did not come to watch the competition today, which showed how heavy his heart was. His younger brother, Hanzi, was injured. How could he participate in the competition? Old Kanzi Zhao paused for a moment, then continued. Next, there are 8 families and sects left. The top 4 will be decided by drawing lots, and then the top 2 and 3rd place will be decided by drawing lots. The final winner will be decided from among the top 2. Just like yesterday, if you don't want to participate in the competition, you can mention it now. Otherwise, in the arena, everyone has their own destiny. Unless one party voluntarily admits defeat, it is entirely possible to put their opponent on the ground. Since it is a dual arena challenge, as long as one of the contestants from both teams gives up or admits defeat, the entire team will be the loser. In addition, no fangs or weapons are allowed in the competition. As for the other rules, there are no rules. After the top 3 have been decided, for the sake of fairness, the next 4 contestants can be given a chance to challenge. However, the person being challenged must not be their previous opponent. For example, if you have already lost to your opponent in the previous elimination round, you can't choose to challenge them again. In view of the special circumstances of the Qianshan Gate, their battle style is 1 man and 1 beast, man and beast as one. Therefore, only one person is allowed to bring 1 spiritual beast into the arena, which is considered a 2 versus 2 battle. Does anyone have any objections? This rule was the same as yesterday, and it seemed very fair. Therefore, no one raised any objections, including Lin Yi's side. All right, since no one has any objections, then the competition will begin. We will now draw lots to decide the order of the competition. Old Kanzi Zhao nodded and said, The result of the drawing of lots surprised Lin Yi. Lin Yi's first opponent for the top 4 was actually the 2 brothers, Pai Jishan and Pai Jihai. This result made Lin Yi frown. Pai Jishan and Pai Jihai had lived together since they were young, and they did not fight for the position of the family head. Instead, they were the 2 brothers who had a relatively good relationship in the hidden aristocratic families. The 2 of them together gave Lin Yi some pressure. Of course, Lin Yi's pressure wasn't because he was afraid of the 2 brothers, but because of Han Xiaopa. If Lin Yi fought 1 versus 2, he naturally wouldn't be afraid of the 2 brothers, but he was afraid that the 2 would let him go and fight Han Xiaopa. Boss, what strategy are we going to use for this round? Han Xiaopa asked worriedly as he looked at the 2 brothers from House Pai, who were smiling cunningly. When you go up later, just hide behind me. There's no need to fight. Just hide however you want. Lin Yi sighed and said, Chapter 21-26. Pai Jihai was only at the peak early phase of Earth class, while Pai Jishan was only at the early phase of Earth class, the same level as Han Xiaopa. On top of that, he was a physical practitioner, which made him slightly weaker. Han Xiaopa was no match for his opponent. It's okay, just be careful of Pai Jihai. Pai Jishan is the same level as you, so you're evenly matched. Between him and Jihai, you'd rather be beaten by Pai Jishan than Jihai. Lin Yi said, Okay, I understand, boss. Han Xiaopa nodded. Pai Jihai was still holding a grudge for admitting defeat in the single arena, so he wanted to make a comeback in this duel. Elder Pai. Lin Yi stopped in his tracks and turned to look at Elder Pai. What is it? Elder Pai saw Lin Yi's eyes, and his heart skipped a beat, but he pretended to be calm. Nothing, I just wanted to tell you, 1 move, only 1 move. Lin Yi smiled. Don't think that you've won just because you beat Han Xiaopa. I can take out 2 people in one move when I first get on the stage. Are you threatening me? Old Man Pai's face changed. He had discussed this with Pai Zhishan and Pai Zhihai. Pai Zhihai was confident that he could take out Han Xiaopa in one hit. That way, no matter how strong Lin Yi was, he'd have to admit defeat. Plus, from the way Lin Yi and Ma Dashan fought, it was clear that Lin Yi was very arrogant. He was the type to wait for his opponent to make the first move. This way, they could take advantage of the fact that Lin Yi hadn't made a move yet. This was why Pai Zhishan and Pai Zhihai were so confident. However, Lin Yi changed his strategy this time. He wanted to fight the moment he got on the stage. Elder Pai didn't expect Lin Yi to have the same idea. He couldn't help but worry. It's not a threat, but you can interpret it however you want. I'm just giving you a friendly reminder. Lin Yi said lightly, I don't want you to be as brainless as Diamond Drill. This. Old Pai's expression changed. Pai Zhishan and Pai Zhihai, who were about to go on stage, stopped as well. This was a blatant threat, but Pai Zhishan and Pai Zhihai couldn't think of anything else other than being annoyed and frustrated. If Lin Yi said it was one move, then it was one move. Putting aside the fact that Lin Yi had once killed 3 Earth rank experts with one move, Lin Yi's martial technique on the arena yesterday was enough to kill 2 people in a second. Don't think I don't know what you're thinking. Targeting Han Xiaopa? Very well, let's see who's faster. Lin Yi said faintly. Who? Elder Pai took a deep breath, but he was still the head of a house. He had a certain level of tolerance and shrewdness. Even though Lin Yi's threat made him lose face, and it was hard to make a choice, he still made his choice. Elder Pai wasn't an idiot. This double elimination tournament was agreed upon by the Hidden House Shuang. No matter how strong the Hidden House Pai was, they could only get 2nd or 3rd place. Plus, with the Qian Shan sect, who knew if they would suddenly rise up again. Plus, with Lin Yi's side, the Hidden House Pai's chances of getting into the top 3 were very slim. So rather than being pushed out of the top 3, they might as well surrender now. After all, Lin Yi had already said this much. If the Hidden House Pai didn't come to their senses, then they'd be dead meat. If they died, people would laugh at him and say that he didn't know what was good for him. Lin Yi had already warned them, and they still wanted to fight? Wasn't there something wrong with them? Since Mr. Lin has already said this, then we, the Hidden House Pai, can only surrender. Elder Pai smiled faintly. But the one we're afraid of is you, Mr. Lin, not Han Xiaopa. If we're talking about instant kills, we can kill one on the arena, but we don't want to lose 2 just because of one. That's not worth it. Plus, there's no point. Lin Yi nodded. That's for the best. I have a lot of enemies here, and I hope you'll make the right choice, Elder Pai. Don't regret it. Mr. Lin, I've said it before. The hatred between us is built on the Shao family. There's no big conflict between us. I'll make sure that Shao family doesn't mess with you. We won't have any conflicts of interest in the future. So why talk about enemies? Elder Pai laughed. He was just a physical practitioner at the early phase of Sky Class. Lin Yi could take a full power strike from a spiritual practitioner at the early phase of Sky Class, so he might be able to take a hit from Elder Pai. As long as Lin Yi could take it, then he could retaliate. That would be devastating. Elder Pai knew that he wouldn't have been able to survive Lin Yi's attack yesterday, so it didn't matter if he felt wronged or not, or if Lin Yi and his lackeys had taken out a bunch of masters in the past. All he could do was hold his nose and bear with it. This was the world of practitioners. The strong ruled. Without strength, you had to compromise or else you'd be killed. That's good. Lin Yi nodded. Pai Zhishan, Pai Zhihai, just admit defeat. Elder Pai said to his 2 grandsons. Admitting defeat in front of Mr. Lin isn't something to be ashamed of. Acting tough in front of Mr. Lin is. Yes. Pai Zhishan and Pai Zhihai didn't like it, but they knew that Elder Pai was speaking the truth. They had the ability to kill Han Xiaopa, but Lin Yi could kill them as well. It wasn't worth it at all. They might as well admit defeat. So, Pai Jishan and Pai Jihai cupped their fists. We're no match for Mr. Lin Yi. We admit defeat. But the Hidden House Pai's words were very artistic. They said that they would admit defeat to Lin Yi, not to the Hidden House Han. Although the result was the same, the meaning was different. Lin Yi didn't expose them, and Han Xiaopa didn't care. House Han was already on Lin Yi's side. So what? You can't eat the grapes and say that the grapes are sour. You want to be Lin Yi's lackeys, but he won't accept you. It's okay. When you have a powerful boss, I, Han Xiaopa, will also admit defeat. Han Xiaopa didn't feel ashamed at all. Instead, he felt proud. Elder Pai was nice to Lin Yi, but not to Han Xiaopa. He snorted and left the stage with Pai Jishan and Pai Jihai. Chapter 21-27. The other two arenas were still fighting intensely, and the winner had already been decided. This was quite surprising, but it was understandable that the Hidden House Pai had admitted defeat. No one called them cowards. If you wanted to call them cowards, why don't you go challenge Lin Yi? Boss, you're amazing. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to do it. But with just a few words from you, the Hidden House Pai admitted defeat. They were so cocky before, but they were just paper tigers. Han Xiaopa said excitedly, It's just luck they insisted on fighting. Who knows, you might have gotten hurt. Lin Yi said, If I get hurt, they'll just die. As long as they're not stupid, they know what's important. Han Xiaopa didn't care. Lin Yi smiled. He didn't comment, nor did he explain further. After about half an hour, the results of the other matches were out as well. The top four were the Hidden House Han, the Hidden House Shuang, the Hidden House Yu, and the Qian Mountain sect. The Hidden House Yu looked at the list of the top four and wanted to give up. These old men weren't idiots. Elder Yu saw that Hidden House Pai met Lin Yi and immediately admitted defeat. If they were unlucky enough to draw Lin Yi, then they'd just admit defeat. If they drew someone else, then they'd give it a try. The top four battles began after a short break. The order of drawing was out as well. Hidden House Han against Hidden House Shuang. Hidden House Yu against Qian Mountain sect. Lin Yi didn't care about this result, but the Hidden House Yu took in a cold breath. The Qian Mountain sect's one man and one beast formation wasn't favored by the old men of the hidden houses. After all, they felt that a man and beast working together wasn't as good as a human working together. So, man and beast should be the easiest to deal with. Taking down one would be a win. But the battle between House Yu and Qian Mountain sect made Hidden House Yu realize the danger. The combination of one man and one beast from the Qian Mountain sect wasn't just for show. Their teamwork was even better than that of humans. The scariest thing was that the yellow-class middle-stage spiritual beast could actually fight against an Earth-class late-stage expert. With one slap, it could slap the Earth-class late-stage expert from the Hidden Yu family to the ground. Different spirit beasts' ranks and strengths didn't have much of a relationship. Some spirit beasts might not even be a match for a golden-class human at heaven-class. But some spirit beasts at golden class already had very powerful battle techniques. This spirit beast from the Qianshan sect was one of them. But Lin Yi wasn't a stranger to this. Back in the tomb, the spirit beast guarding the tomb was also a yellow-class spirit beast. But it was able to beat Boss Yu to the point where he couldn't even fight back. In front of General Weiwu, however, it was like an obedient baby. The hierarchy in the world of spirit beasts was completely different from that of human cultivators. The two Zhuang brothers had heard of how ferocious and powerful Lin Yi was. During the single arena challenge, his opponents kept surrendering, and today, the two Pai brothers surrendering as well. This made Zhuang Niadeo and Zhuang Niapeo very confused and unconvinced. Was this Lin Yi really that strong? One had to know that the two Zhuang brothers weren't weak either. They had been training in joint attacks since they were young. To put it bluntly, with their current joint attack strength, they wouldn't even be at a disadvantage against an early-stage Sky-class master. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that they were invincible under Sky-class. So when they first heard of Lin Yi's name and his battle record, they didn't care. After drawing Lin Yi, they didn't say much and rushed to the stage, waiting for Lin Yi to come up. Before, Zhuang Niadao and Zhuang Niapeo didn't know who Lin Yi was because they only appeared during the double arena challenge. They didn't watch any of the previous matches. Naturally, they didn't know that Lin Yi was Ling Yi from the Ice Palace test. Plus, during the match between Lin Yi and the Hidden House Pie surrendered. Lin Yi didn't even go up the stage. Naturally, they didn't see Lin Yi. Where is Lin Yi? Come up and accept the challenge from the two brothers of House Zhuang. Zhuang Niapeo said in a very imposing manner. Lin Yi and Han Xiaopao went to the toilet and didn't hear Zhuang Niapeo's arrogance. The battle hasn't started yet. Don't be noisy. Old Zhao frowned. These two brothers, Zhuang Niapeo and Zhuang Niapeo, had just eliminated the Hidden House Zhao's disciple. Although old Zhao hated Lin Yi, he didn't have a good impression of these two brothers. Humph, brother, I think this Lin Yi doesn't live up to his name. Later, you and I will work together to hold him back, then find a chance to attack that Han Xiaopao. Zhuang Niapeo said, Of course, us two brothers working together will be invincible. Zhuang Niapeo was also very confident. Previously, the two of them were invincible, sweeping away the two disciples of House Zhao. It was basically a complete victory, so he was very confident. That Lin Yi, is he coming or not? If he doesn't come, it's equivalent to admitting defeat. Zhuang Niapeo said impatiently, Admit defeat? Huh. Lin Yi didn't say anything, but Han Xiaopao laughed coldly. If you know what's good for you, then admit defeat. Don't lose your life. Don't blame me for not reminding you. Once my boss makes a move, any expert can be eliminated. Haha, any expert can be eliminated? Us two brothers working together. We're invincible under heaven rank. Let's see how he'll eliminate us. Zhuang Niapeo laughed coldly. Oh, is that so? Lin Yi and Han Xiaopao walked over together, looked at the two brothers, and laughed coldly. What do you mean by invincible under heaven rank? When I was in mystic rank, I've already killed two people who claimed to be invincible under earth rank. Now that I'm in earth rank, I'll kill two people who claim to be invincible under heaven rank to practice. Bulsh asterisk t? Zhuang Niapeo wanted to say Bulsh asterisk t, but when he saw Lin Yi's face, he immediately froze on the spot, as if he was electrocuted and couldn't say a word. Niapeo, what's wrong? Zhuang Niaoqiang was confused when he saw Zhuang Niapeo. He followed Zhuang Niapeo's gaze, and when he saw Lin Yi, he shivered and said subconsciously, Master Ling. Ling Yi had left too deep of an impression on the two brothers. Zhuang Niapeo was a heaven-defying existence, and even he was crippled by Lin Yi. How could the two of them compete with Ling Yi? Zhuang Niapeo thought that even now, the two of them might not be Zhuang Niapeo's match, right? The chrysanthemum art of wasp absorption was a heaven-defying existence. It sucked away the chi of others who could withstand it. But Ling Yi could, and not only did he withstand it, he even crippled Zhuang Niapeo. Chapter 21-28. And the rumors about Lin Yi made Zhuang Niaoqiang realize that Lin Yi was not a good person. He was able to cripple the strongest person under Earth class when he was Mystic class. Could he not cripple anyone under Heaven class when he was in Earth class? What's more, this Lin Yi might be hiding his true strength. He might be a Heaven class master. Thinking about this, Zhuang Niapeo and Zhuang Niapeo looked at each other. They could see the fear in each other's eyes. The arrogance from before suddenly turned into silence. If only one of them was afraid, it would be better. The other would be cheering for them. But now both of them were afraid. This was the most fatal weakness of fighting in the ring. You two, are you in a hurry to die? The Ice Palace trial didn't allow you to kill people. This is the life and death arena. Lin Yi looked at Zhuang Niaoqiang and Zhuang Niapeo and said, "Since you're on stage, don't go down." "Masterling, don't attack first." Zhuang Niapeo quickly jumped down from the stage as if his tail was stepped on. "I'm below the stage, you can't attack me. Yes, Master Ling." Zhuang Niaoqiang also jumped down and said, "We admit defeat according to the rules. After we admit defeat, you can't attack us anymore." This turn of events made everyone dumbfounded. They didn't expect these two brothers to be so stupid. They were arrogantly boasting on stage before. But now that Lin Yi was here, they immediately jumped down from the stage and admitted defeat, as if they were afraid that Lin Yi would kill them once he got on stage. However, Zhuang Niapeo and Zhuang Niaoqiang were not ashamed at all. Instead, they felt that they had done the right thing. "Oh, since you admit defeat, then forget it," Lin Yi said. "Old man Zhao, you can announce the results." The Hidden Han family has emerged as one of the top 2 contenders. Old man Zhao announced. What made him speechless was that Lin Yi had not fought a single match since yesterday. All his opponents had admitted defeat, and admitted defeat again. "Boss, you are really impressive. The second brother of the Zhuang family was so arrogant before, but when you came, he immediately admitted defeat. It's so funny." Han Xiaopa said. "I've fought with their boss before," Lin Yi said faintly. "Ah, didn't they also have a boss? No wonder they were so arrogant. What happened to their boss?" Han Xiaopa hurriedly asked. "He's disabled," Lin Yi said. "Crippled? Boss, you didn't do it, did you?" Han Xiaopa exclaimed. "If not me, why are they begging for mercy?" Lin Yi laughed. "I see. I was wondering why these 2 arrogant bastards suddenly became so weak." Han Xiaopa nodded. When the old man of the hidden house Zhuang heard that Lin Yi was the Ling Yi from the test, he didn't have any opinion on Niapo and Niapo admitting defeat. He completely agreed with their decision. Since Lin Yi was so strong, there was no need to fight him head-on. On the other side, the battle between the Hidden House Yu and the Qianshan sect had come to an end as well. The Hidden House Yu had received orders from Elder Yu to preserve their strength, and so after going up the stage and realizing that there was no chance of winning, they gave up. They didn't want to risk their lives and save their strength to fight against the Zhuang brothers. Originally, the Hidden House Yu's plan was for the 2 brothers to waste a lot of their strength in the battle with Lin Yi. It would be best if they got injured. This way, they could easily defeat the 2 brothers and get 3rd place. But now, it seemed like this idea wasn't feasible. The 2 brothers were arrogant before, but after that, they pretended to be weak. What kind of logic was this? The disciples of the Hidden House Yu didn't know about the situation and thought that the 2 brothers were playing some tricks. They didn't dare to be slow and fought with the Qianshan sect for a bit before admitting defeat. They were ready to fight the Hidden House Zhuang disciples for 3rd place. The last battle for the championship, Hidden House Han against the Qianshan sect. I hope this will be the most exciting battle in this battle. Both sides are elites. I hope you won't end up losing like this. After all, everyone has high hopes for you. Old man Zhao didn't want the Qianshan sect to admit defeat again. If that happened, Lin Yi would get the championship too easily. He didn't mind saying some things to the Qianshan sect. Admitting defeat is the act of a coward. We, the Qianshan sect, will never admit defeat. The one who spoke was the direct disciple of the Qianshan sect's headmaster. His name was Wujin Dao, and he was one of the best in the younger generation of the Qianshan sect who had formed a contract with a spirit beast. He already had a certain level of communication with the spirit beast, and their teamwork was considered to be very close. Of course, this kind of spiritual beast contract was actually established by living together day and night. It was not forcefully established. It was actually a very difficult thing to obtain the recognition of a spiritual beast. One must have enough patience and make the spiritual beast have a good impression of him. Only then would he be able to establish the contract step by step and fight together. This Wu Jindao was one of the stronger ones. He could control a golden class mid-phase spirit wolf. This spirit wolf was extremely ferocious, and normal Earth class late-phase peak experts wouldn't dare to fight it head-on. This was also Wu Jindao's pride. Last time, he brought the spirit wolf to participate in the Ice Palace trial. He wanted to shine, but he didn't expect that his own strength exceeded the requirements of the competition and was eliminated prematurely. This was a humiliation for him. So, this time the Hidden House Summit was full of energy, preparing to make a name for themselves. The Qianshan sex agreement was that they would win the last additional battle. But now the situation was already messed up, and it wasn't the one person to one battle situation anymore. With the addition of Lin Yi, who would win would depend on their own strength. So, the Qianshan sect also wanted to take back a champion in this duo arena challenge. When Wu Jindao finished speaking, the spirit wolf beside him also held an agreement. Ayo! Boss, this guy doesn't seem to admit defeat. Han Xiaopa asked worriedly. Let's see. If it doesn't work, then we'll admit defeat. Lin Yi said. He didn't really care about winning or losing. Participating in the competition was nothing more than getting some good treasures back. No, we've already reached this stage. I can't admit defeat. Even if I have to grit my teeth and persevere, I have to persevere. Han Xiaopa gritted his teeth and made his decision. Chapter 21-29. But in terms of time, it was too late. The rules were announced on the spot. Lin, he didn't have the time to go back to get General Weiwu. Even if he sent someone to deliver it, it would be too late. Both sides are ready. Get into position and get ready for the match. Elder Zhao waited for Lin Yi and Han Xiaopa to get on the stage and announced, 3, 2, 1, begin! Thus, following Old Man Zhao's words, the final battle for the championship had begun. Wu Jindao didn't give Lin Yi the chance to condense the chi bomb. As soon as the battle started, he and the spirit wolf rushed towards Lin Yi and Han Xiaopa. Wu Jindao's opponent was Han Xiaopa, and the spirit wolf's opponent was Lin Yi. This situation was the most sensible and difficult for Lin Yi to deal with. Wu Jindao was at the early stage of Earth class when he participated in the Ice Palace trial. Now he was at the peak of the early stage of Earth class. His leveling speed wasn't fast. It seemed like the Qian Mountain faction focused on communicating with spirit beasts. Their personal improvement speed wasn't as heaven-defying as those hidden families. Lin Yi frowned. He couldn't let Wu Jindao hit Han Xiaopa. Even if he was at the peak of the early stage of Earth class, it would be a one-sided fight against Han Xiaopa. Thus, in a hurry, Lin Yi channeled his inner force and struck out with the second form of Wood Forest 1,000 Changes. Lin Yi's other martial arts couldn't hit both of them in one move unless it was a chi bomb. But this Wood Forest 1,000 Changes was different. One punch from the second form was equivalent to 2 punches. Boom! Boom! Lin Yi's body rushed towards Wu Jindao and the spirit wolf. Strong chi exploded and condensed on Lin Yi's fist. It transformed into 2 fists and smashed towards Wu Jindao and the spirit wolf. Originally, Wu Jindao thought that if Lin Yi wanted to attack, he could only choose one. It was either him or the spirit wolf. The spirit wolf had thick skin and flesh, so normal people couldn't get close to it. If Lin Yi went around the spirit wolf to attack Wu Jindao, then Wu Jindao could communicate with the spirit wolf and have him attack Han Xiaopa instead. This was the benefit of establishing a tacit understanding with spirit beasts. They could communicate at any time. However, Wu Jindao didn't expect that Lin Yi's one punch would turn into 2. Was there something wrong with his eyes? He didn't believe that Lin Yi's one punch could really become 2 punches. One real and one fake was a common situation in martial arts. But one turning into 2 was unheard of. It wasn't that Wu Jindao was ignorant, but he had never heard of it before. Not to mention him, even Elder Han, who possessed the Mu-Lin Sun Thousand transformations, thought that this martial art was fake before Lin Yi used it. Only one punch was real, and the rest were illusions to confuse people. Only after Lin used it did he realize that the one punch turned into 2 or even 3 punches. Therefore, since Wu Jindao thought this way, he made a decision in his heart. He quickly used the spirit wolf's language to communicate with the spirit wolf. Don't worry about him. Out of these 2 punches, one is real and one is fake. We'll rush over together. No matter which punch is real, we'll block it. If it's fake, we'll rush over and knock Han Xiaopa out of the ring. Whoa! The spirit wolf howled to indicate that it understood. Therefore, the man and the beast didn't slow down and rushed toward Lin Yi's martial art. Although Wu Jindao was afraid of Lin Yi's vacuum oscillation fist martial art before, Lin Yi was obviously not using that martial art. Judging from the energy fluctuations, although it was strong, it was definitely not too strong. Naturally, the second martial art naturally wouldn't be too strong. Even if Lin Yi was skilled in using it, it was impossible to reach a situation where the enemy was seriously injured in one move. At that time, he exchanged so many moves with the Earth-tier black-clothed man before killing him. Moreover, he used the third move to his limit. Bang! Bang! Wu Jindao and the spirit wolf were sent flying by Lin Yi at the same time. Although the man and the wolf weren't seriously injured, their eyes still flashed with disbelief. This disbelief wasn't about Lin Yi's strength, but about this martial art. Lin Yi clearly only threw 1 punch. How did it really turn into 2 punches? What kind of martial art was this? They had never heard of such a heaven-defying martial art, right? 1 punch could turn into 2 punches. Lin Yi sighed. This would force 1,000 transformations. Even if he used the 4th move, other than wasting the true energy in his body, it was impossible to kill Wu Jindao and the spirit wolf. When facing experts of the same level, it was impossible to say that one martial art could kill the opponent. The true energy bomb was simply a golden finger, but it couldn't be used at any time. This martial art is strange. Wu Jindao quickly stood up from his fall and instructed the spirit wolf. You and I don't get too close. 1 on the left, 1 on the right. Although this martial art can turn 1 punch into 2 punches, the distance can't be too far. It had to be said that this Wu Jindao's brain was very good. He immediately found the way to break Lin Yi's martial art. The arena was huge, and if they were on the left and right, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to hit both of them at the same time, even if he used the 4th form of 1,000 transformations. Even if he used 4 punches, he wouldn't be able to hit both of them. Unless he could use the 10th move, it would be impossible to hit such a large area of effect attack. But this was impossible. Lin Yi didn't even want to think about it. Right now, the only thing Lin Yi could do was to protect Han Xiaopa. Therefore, Wu Jindao and the spirit wolf closed in from the left and right. Lin Yi also quickly retreated and stood in front of Han Xiaopa, protecting him. Whoa! The spirit wolf pounced on Lin Yi from the left. Han Xiaopa die! Wu Jindao closed in on Han Xiaopa from the right. This left and right, 2 directions, made it impossible for Lin Yi to use his martial art. And this arena was circular. There was no corner at all. Whether he stood on the edge or in the middle, he couldn't use the Wood Forest 1,000 transformations to fight the enemy. Wild Wolf Fist. Wu Jindao swung his fist at Han Xiaopa. His martial art was a set of martial art that was compatible with the spirit wolf. It was a martial art that was based on the spirit wolf's attack method. The power wasn't too great, but it focused on the unity of man and beast. If this wild wolf fist was used together with the spirit wolf, the power would naturally be incomparable. But if it was used alone, the difference was huge. However, in order not to fight with Lin Yi head-on and kill Han Xiaopa first, he could only separate from the spirit wolf. Otherwise, if the 2 of them were together and Lin Yi directly hit them with a killer move, they would be dead. Chapter 2130. Since Lin Yi didn't use it, he wouldn't give Lin Yi the chance to use it. He and the spirit wolf kept attacking separately. Although the effect was weak, it also prevented Lin Yi from using his ultimate move. If Lin Yi used his ultimate move, he and the spirit wolf would run. They wouldn't stand there like idiots from the Golden Bell sect and wait to be beaten. Lin Yi frowned and quickly made a decision. This wild wolf fist, Lin Yi could take it head on, but this spirit wolf couldn't. This spirit wolf's attack power was obviously very strong. Lin Yi naturally knew that this spirit wolf wasn't easy to deal with after dealing with offensive-type spirit beasts in the ancient tomb. Therefore, Lin Yi made a decision in an instant. He would use his back to take Wu Jindao's punch head-on, and he would use all his strength to deal with the spirit wolf. After making the decision, Lin Yi turned around to face the spirit wolf, while he and Han Xiaopa stood side by side, staring at the spirit wolf. Lin Yi's actions stunned Wu Jindao. What did Lin Yi mean? Leaving his back to him? Letting him attack him and let Han Xiaopa go? Although his and the spirit wolf's pincer attack could cause great damage to Lin Yi, Wu Jindao immediately gave up on this idea, because attacking Lin Yi might not necessarily kill Lin Yi. Since Lin Yi could take a full blow from an early-stage Heaven Stage Master, his and the spirit wolf's pincer attack probably wouldn't cause too much damage to Lin Yi. So Wu Jindao changed his target to Han Xiaopa. In fact, after seeing Wu Jindao's technique, Lin Yi knew that it wouldn't be able to do much damage to him. After all, Wu Jindao's technique was far too weak compared to the Earth-class black clothed man's technique. Wu Jindao's move was equivalent to the Heaven and Earth stage man in Black's first move. So since he couldn't kill him, Lin Yi didn't care anymore. He channeled his inner force and prepared to use the fourth form of Frenzy Fist on the spirit wolf. Wu Jindao threw a punch at Han Xiaopa. Han Xiaopa's heart tightened. Although he didn't know what Lin Yi was doing, out of his trust in Lin Yi, he didn't make any rash movements. He just stood there, motionless. However, Wu Jindao found it strange that when he punched, Lin Yi seemed to have eyes on the back of his head. His body directly went in the direction of his punch. In fact, Lin Yi didn't have eyes on his back, but he used the jade pendant to determine the direction of Wu Jindao. The stronger the danger warning signal, the more obvious the direction of Wu Jindao. Lin Yi didn't need to turn his head to determine it. However, Wu Jindao's skill had already been activated. It was impossible to retract it and change the direction at the last minute. He could only attack Lin Yi's back. Although attacking Lin Yi with the spirit wolf was the worst plan, Lin Yi had to attack Lin Yi first. However, at this moment, it was impossible to tell the spirit wolf to attack Han Xiaopa. Although the spirit wolf had some intelligence and could communicate with Wu Jindao, it was only a mid-stage golden rank spirit beast. Its intelligence wasn't too high. It couldn't be compared to General Weiwu or Skybolt Pig. It was only the intelligence of a Toon Guardian spirit beast. Although he knew how to listen to Wu Jindao's orders, it was impossible for him to make a decision on the spot. Bang! Wu Jindao's fist landed on Lin Yi's back and made a loud sound. At this time, Lin Yi moved. He used the fourth form of Frenzy Fist and attacked the spirit wolf. Bang! After Lin Yi was hit, the spirit wolf was hit as well. It was sent flying by Lin Yi's punch and fell heavily on the ground. However, this guy was really durable. The punch didn't cause any serious injury. It only struggled a little and got up. It still stared at Lin Yi with its eyes full of anger. However, Wu Jindao didn't give the next order, so it couldn't attack Lin Yi directly. Although Wu Jindao's attack wasn't as strong as the fourth form of the Earth rank man in black, Lin Yi took the attack with his back without any defense. It wasn't a fist against fist, so the damage was naturally heavier. In fact, the most important thing was that the spirit wolf's damage to Lin Yi was greater than Wu Jindao's. Lin Yi didn't know what technique the spirit wolf was using. When his fist landed on its body, the strength of the backlash was enough to make the blood in Lin Yi's chest surge up. Uffed. Lin Yi couldn't bear it and spat out a mouthful of blood. The depression in his chest was spat out and he felt much better. However, the problem in front of him hadn't been solved yet. Lin Yi couldn't be careless. He used the art of dragon mastery to quickly heal the injuries in his body, while he vigilantly sensed the situation of the spirit wolf and with Jin Dao. Hey, Lin Yi, you're only SOO. You spat out blood after one move of mine. Wu Jindao was overjoyed when he saw Lin Yi spitting out blood. He raised his fist and said to the spirit wolf, "Buddy, let's continue." Under Wu Jindao's summon, the spirit wolf rushed towards Lin Yi again. Lin Yi's previous punch had already brought out the spirit wolf's blood. The spirit wolf only wanted to bite off Lin Yi's neck and kill Lin Yi. As for Wu Jindao, he wanted to test if Lin Yi would continue to block in front of him if he attacked Han Xiaopa again. The previous time could be said to be a coincidence, but the second and third time couldn't be said to be a coincidence. However, this test disappointed Wu Jindao. Although Lin Yi didn't look back, Lin Yi's back seemed to have eyes. Wherever Wu Jindao's fist hit, Lin Yi's figure would appear there. Wu Jindao deliberately slanted a little this time and hit Han Xiaopa's left arm. This wasn't a fatal part, but Lin Yi still blocked in front of Han Xiaopa's left arm and took Wu Jindao's punch head-on. However, Lin Yi didn't care. Lin Yi's priority now was to kill or knock this spirit wolf off the stage. Wu Jindao's strength wasn't very great, but this spirit wolf was very fierce. Rather than saying that Lin Yi punched it with his fist, it was better to say that Lin Yi was going head-on with it. Therefore, Lin Yi was now surrounded by enemies. In front, he was going head-on, and behind him he was completely open for the enemy to hit. This kind of fighting style made Lin Yi very passive and at a disadvantage. But there was nothing he could do about it. The rules of this arena were too deceptive. If he was knocked off the stage, he would lose everything. Chapter 2131. Lin Yi wiped away the blood at the corner of his mouth. This was the first time Lin Yi had encountered such a fearful battle, and it was incomparably frustrating. He wasn't this careful even when he was protecting Meng Yao, Yushu, Shirhan, or Cheng Yi. After all, Meng Yao, Yushu, and the others could run, but Han Xiaopa couldn't. He had to stay in the ring, and if he ran out of the ring's range, it would be the same as admitting defeat. In order to prevent Han Xiaopa from getting kicked out of the ring, Lin Yi could only keep protecting him. How is it? Lin Yi, it doesn't feel good fighting a spirit wolf, does it? Wu Jindao saw Lin Yi spit out blood again and laughed. My spirit wolf has copper muscles and iron bones. It's one of the best attack-type beasts. It doesn't show any weakness, even when fighting a Sky-class early phase. Waha, Lin Yi, if you don't admit defeat, then just wait for your death. One couldn't blame Wu Jindao for being arrogant. There weren't many young disciples like him in the Qian Mountain sect who could establish a contract with such a battle-type spirit beast. Furthermore, his spirit beast was the best of the best, so he was naturally full of confidence when facing an enemy. Plus, Lin Yi had been talked about like a god before, saying how strong he was. But when he got to the ring, he found out that he could only take a beating. How could Wu Jindao not be full of confidence? Lin Yi frowned and didn't say anything, thinking about the value of this battle. His eyes glanced at the elders and sect masters below the ring. Seeing their gloating eyes, Lin Yi knew that if he admitted defeat now, then the fear these elders had for him from the previous matches would disappear. So Lin Yi gritted his teeth. No matter what, he had to hold on. If he really couldn't do it, then he would admit defeat. It doesn't matter. Let's see if your spirit wolf dies first, or if I die first. Lin Yi took advantage of the moment when Jindao said those words to speed up his chanting, healing the injuries in his body. Spirit wolf, this time you pretended to attack Lin Yi, but you were actually attacking Han Xiaopa. And I'll attack Lin Yi. Wu Jindao muttered to himself for a moment and decided to change tactics. However, he spoke in a language that only the spirit wolf could understand, so Lin Yi naturally did not understand. This time, Wu Jindao imagined that if Lin Yi used his back to receive his fist, Lin Yi would stand still and block it. Since the spirit wolf was attacking Han Xiaopa, it was impossible for Lin Yi to fight the spirit wolf head-on. After all, the spirit wolf's target this time was not Lin Yi, but Han Xiaopa. It was impossible for him to go after Lin Yi. Although Lin Yi couldn't understand Wu Jindao's words, after Wu Jindao punched out, Lin Yi immediately noticed the difference in the jade pendant's warning signal. His heart trembled slightly. Wu Jindao was attacking him this time. Looking at the spirit wolf again, it was indeed rushing towards Han Xiaopa. Therefore, Lin Yi made a prompt decision and turned around to block Han Xiaopa's back, letting the spirit wolf directly pounce on him. Wu Jindao noticed that Lin Yi suddenly turned around. He was also stunned, but his fist did not stop. He was not a spirit wolf, so his thinking was naturally not as old-fashioned as the spirit wolf. Seeing that Lin Yi went to block the spirit wolf, Wu Jindao immediately changed his target and went straight for Han Xiaopa. Lin Yi also saw this situation. He directly pushed Han Xiaopa out, then used the first form of Frenzy Fist to meet Wu Jindao. Wu Jindao had already made his move, so it was impossible to change his target. He directly met Lin Yi's first form of Frenzy Fist head-on. Uft! Wu Jindao's physical fitness was not as strong as the spirit wolf. Just the first form of Frenzy Fist was enough to make Wu Jindao vomit blood. He mainly relied on the cooperation between man and beast in battle. If he was alone, he would be much weaker. At the same time, the spirit wolf also directly hit Lin Yi's back. With a loud sound, Lin Yi's internal organs were all dizzy. Cough, cough. Lin Yi realized that the spirit wolf's attack was much more serious than Wu Jindao's attack. However, it was much more serious than Wu Jindao's attack. This spirit wolf's attack power was not one bit inferior to the Earth Stage black-clothed man he had met that day. Although, compared to the previous competition, the power of the Heaven Stage was much weaker. But it was already too much for the injured Lin Yi. However, Lin Yi did not care about the spirit wolf. Without stopping, he used the second form of Frenzy Fist and smashed it towards Wu Jindao. Lin Yi also saw that Wu Jindao could establish contact with the spirit wolf through the specialized beast language. Whoever the spirit wolf attacked was completely ordered by Wu Jindao. Since he found this pattern, then Lin Yi locked his target on Wu Jindao. As long as Wu Jindao did not change his order, this spirit wolf would not be smart enough to turn around and attack Han Xiaopa. It would definitely attack him. Therefore, Lin Yi did not intend to give Wu Jindao a chance to communicate with the spirit wolf. After dealing with Wu Jindao, the spirit wolf was naturally nothing to be afraid of. Boom! The second form of Frenzy Fist once again hit Wu Jindao. He did not expect Lin Yi's martial arts to be continuous. He did not give him a chance to communicate with the spirit wolf at all. Wu Jindao once again vomited a large mouthful of blood. His face was a little pale. Just as he was about to say something, he realized that Lin Yi's fist was attacking again. Wu Jindao was shocked. He quickly used his mental cultivation to activate his martial arts to resist. The third form of Frenzy Fist against the third form of Wild Wolf Fist. Wu Jindao was naturally at a disadvantage. The Wild Wolf Fist was not as superior as the Frenzy Fist. This martial arts technique would only be at its greatest power when used in conjunction with the spirit beast. Moreover, Lin Yi's Frenzy Fist was cultivated to the extreme. Wu Jindao was once again pushed back. He vomited a few mouthfuls of blood and could not speak. In fact, even though Wu Jindao was in a miserable state, Lin Yi was not much better. The spirit wolf was like a dead man. It continuously attacked Lin Yi's back. Lin Yi's spine was almost broken by it. If it was not for Lin Yi gritting his teeth and holding on, he would probably be in a terrible situation. The fourth form of Frenzy Fist. Wu Jindao saw that Lin Yi did not stop and actually activated an even stronger martial arts technique. A hint of fear flashed through his eyes. The fear of death caused him to instantly explode with a shocking potential. He ordered the spirit wolf, "Use your strongest move, human-beast unification." Wu Jindao could not care about letting the spirit wolf attack Han Xiaopa. He had a feeling that if Lin Yi's move hit him again, he might not live to see tomorrow's sun. Therefore, he summoned the spirit wolf and sacrificed both his and the spirit wolf's cultivation to use the Qianshan sect's strongest secret technique, human-beast unification, heavenly earth wild wolf transformation. Chapter 2132. In other words, once this technique was used, Wu Jindao would become a mystic class master, and the spirit wolf would turn from a yellow class spirit beast to a normal spirit beast. As a result, this move wouldn't be used unless it was absolutely necessary. But now was the last resort, because Wu Jindao had been forced into a corner by Lin Yi, and there was nowhere to hide. Even if he wanted to escape the stage, it would be impossible, of course. The most important thing was that he didn't want to admit defeat just like this. He had already wasted so much energy. If he admitted defeat just like this, then it would be a huge joke. Plus, he had already said those crazy words before. He couldn't afford to lose face like this. Hence, he was willing to sacrifice his strength in order to kill Lin Yi in one move. Man and beast as one was the strongest secret technique of the Qian Mountain sect, combining the power of man and beast together, bringing it to the extreme. Right now, the spirit wolf's attack power was no less than that of a peak late phase earth class practitioner. If he added his golden knife, it would be equivalent to a peak late phase earth class practitioner and a peak early phase earth class practitioner. This was a completely different thing from two practitioners attacking at the same time. This was the superposition of Jin Qi, which could instantly reach the power of a peak early phase heaven class practitioner. Because of this technique was hailed as a secret technique by the Qian Mountain sect, and it wouldn't be used easily, only at critical moments. Wu Jindao didn't believe that Lin Yi could survive this technique. Even if he was lucky enough not to die, his meridians and bones would be broken. He would become a cripple. Even a third-level pill wouldn't be able to save him. So he made up his mind to use this ultimate technique. Hearing Wu Jindao's call, the spirit wolf stopped attacking Lin Yi, but suddenly jumped up, jumping on top of Wu Jindao's head, letting out a sharp wolf howl. Wu Jindao's mouth was also silently chanting a mantra. This man and wolf suddenly flashed a golden light, then became incomparably red, as if they were being reflected by the setting sun. Human and beast as one world wild wolf transformation. Following Wu Jindao's roar, his eyes flashed with a strange green light. His entire body seemed to have turned into a fiery, red giant wolf. He clasped his hands together and raised them high above his head, perfectly placing them on the spirit wolf's head. Then, as though he was accumulating strength, he quickly smashed towards Lin Yi. Frenzy Fist, fourth form. Lin Yi was also like an arrow on a bowstring that had to be released. Although he smelled a hint of danger, Lin Yi could only bite the bullet and go forward. If Lin Yi dodged at that moment, then the power of Wu Jin's saber's move would very likely affect Han Xiaopa, who was not far away. Lin Yi could withstand the power of this move, but Han Xiaopa definitely could not. Lin Yi's last move, Frenzy Fist, was also to deal a fatal blow to Wu Jindao. Otherwise, Lin Yi would not have used the first move all the way to the last move. This was because the martial skill that was used all the way was much more powerful than a single martial skill. Previously, Wu Jindao's strength was inferior to the Earth Stage black-clothed man. Lin Yi was confident that he could put him to death. Lin Yi had already seen Wu Jindao's insidiousness, so Lin Yi did not intend to keep this scourge alive. Since the Qianshan sect had already gone all out, then Lin Yi could only offend them to the death. Boom! There was a loud sound as if a landmine had exploded. The place where the two people's fists collided formed a huge vortex of true energy that instantly exploded in all directions. Whether it was Wu Jindao, the spirit wolf, or Lin Yi, they were all pushed back by the true energy produced by the explosion. Wu Jindao only felt a powerful true energy that was as powerful as a volcanic eruption enter his body, wantonly destroying his meridians and internal organs. He did not believe that the fourth style of Lin Yi's frenzy fist could produce such great power. After all, when Lin Yi used the fourth style of frenzy fist against the spirit wolf, Wu Jindao had observed it before. It was definitely not this powerful, but the power of Lin Yi's move far exceeded the fourth style he used before. Could it be? Wu Jindao suddenly thought of a possibility. He had heard before that there are some martial skill geniuses who could use martial skills continuously, from the first style all the way to the next style. The power of each style would gradually increase. But this method was limited to martial skill geniuses and high-grade martial skills. If they could not even bring out the normal power of the martial skill and could not use it skillfully, how could they talk about using it continuously? Could it be that Lin Yi was a martial skill genius? But how could he be so weak? Wu Jindao felt that he was going to die. His internal organs were burning, and his meridians were breaking. He could even foresee his end, that's right. Wu Jindao once again thought of something that made him regretful. When he and the spirit wolf used Human Beast Unite, although the power of their attacks greatly increased, their own strength would drop. He, Wu Jindao, became a peak early phase mystic class, and the spirit wolf had already dropped out of the golden class, becoming a normal spirit beast. This way, their body's defense would also drop. So that's how it is. Wu Jindao was not willing to accept this. He regretted using this Human Beast Unite technique earlier and not waiting for Lin Yi to finish the first, second, and third styles before using it. If he was one step earlier, even if he was one step faster, this wouldn't be the outcome today. Could it be that this match was destined to end in mutual destruction? Wu Jindao was not willing. He was not willing. It was as if he had returned to his childhood, relying on the spirit wolf as companions, torturing his opponents under his feet again and again, becoming the spirit wolf's food. But all of this had become so close, yet so far away. He used the last of his strength to open his eyes, wanting to look at his old companion. But all he saw was a headless spirit wolf. The spirit wolf's body had already been destroyed by Lin Yi's fourth style of frenzy fist. A spirit beast without a rank was no longer a spirit beast. It was just a normal animal that had the qualifications to level up to become a spirit beast. So, under the tyranny of Lin Yi's fourth style of frenzy fist, it had already become a dead wolf. The biggest use of Human Beast Unite was to single-handedly kill the opponent and not to fight head-on with the opponent. Wu Jindao remembered what his master had told him before. When using Human Beast Unite, he had to be careful not to fight head-on with the enemy, because that would be mutual destruction. Chapter 2133. But now he remembered everything. He felt that his body was very, very light, and the burning sensation in his internal organs was also getting weaker and weaker. It was as if he had once again returned to the bloody era when he brought the spirit wolf to sweep through his opponents and let the spirit wolf devour the corpses of his opponents, with Jindao dead. Spirit wolf, dead without a complete corpse. Dao Sect master will let out a mournful roar and rushed over to hug Wu Jindao's corpse. However, it was already too late. Wu Jindao was actually sect master's nephew. He didn't have any children, so he treated his nephew as his own. He worked hard to raise him, but he never told him about this familial love. Now that Wu Jindao was dead, sect leader regretted it endlessly. He shouldn't have let Wu Jindao fight against Lin Yi. If he had known that Lin Yi was so powerful, Why would he have stood out? So many Hidden Family's disciples, were they all idiots? Zhuang Niapeo and Zhuang Niaoqiang, Pai Jishan and Pai Jihai, were they all idiots? Why did they admit defeat? Wasn't it because they were afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't be able to beat Lin Yi? And his nephew, Wu Jindao, was able to beat him? Lin Yi, this old man swears that I will kill you. Sect leader Wu looked at the arena and said through gritted teeth, in the arena, Lin Yi didn't have it easy either. After falling heavily to the ground, he realized that he had underestimated the power of Wu Jindao's human-beast unity. That move was even more powerful than the initial stage heaven rank powerhouse's attack from the previous match. Lin Yi felt his bones, meridians, and organs all shatter. He had to admit that Wu Jindao was the most dangerous opponent he had encountered since entering Earth Class. Whether it was Blue Hair, Right 13, or the Earth Class Man in Black, none of them made Lin Yi feel so defeated. Although the battle with Wu Jindao looked simple and not complicated, it was still frightening. Right now, Lin Yi was using his true qi to keep himself alive. If it were any other practitioner, they would have died the moment their true qi ran out. Fortunately, Lin Yi had the art of dragon mastery, a heaven-defying technique that could heal himself. Therefore, after Lin Yi fell to the ground, he didn't rush to get up. Instead, he activated the second stage of the art of dragon mastery and quickly healed his internal injuries. Fortunately, Lin Yi left some true qi in his body. Otherwise, even if his injuries slowly healed, his meridians wouldn't be able to heal. It would be the same result as when he fought with Ma Zhu. Han Xiaopa also wanted to go and see Lin Yi, but old Master Han stopped her with a wave of his hand. He shook his head slightly. If Lin Yi was still alive and was recuperating, then it was best not to touch him. If he was already dead, then there was no point in going. They had to consider the future of the Hidden Han family. However, Han Xiaopa was still very worried as he walked to Lin Yi's side. However, when he saw that Lin Yi was still alive, he was relieved. Wu Jindao, Lin Yi, can you still stand up? Old Master Zhao saw that there was no movement in the arena. He didn't know if Lin Yi was dead, so he asked, if both sides perished, then both sides would be losers in this match. In old Master Zhao's heart, he wanted Lin Yi to die. If Lin Yi died, then there was no need to compete in the last match. It would be clean. As for Wu Jindao, old Master Zhao didn't have any thoughts about it. If he died, then so be it. It had nothing to do with his hidden Zhao family anyway. My boss is recuperating. Die my A****. Han Xiaopa said angrily. Can't you see that he is still breathing? Hurry up and announce the winner. Lin Yi had just repaired the damaged bones in his body. He could barely sit up. He sat cross-legged on the arena, his eyes still closed as he quickly chanted the mantra to heal himself. His injuries were too serious at the moment. Lin Yi had to be treated as soon as possible. There was no time to waste. Did you see that? My boss has risen. Han Xiaopa was overjoyed. He continued, even if that Wu Jindao is still alive, his spirit wolf is dead. Moreover, we knocked him off the stage. Boss and I are still in the arena. When old Master Zhao saw that Lin Yi wasn't dead, a trace of disappointment flashed across his eyes. However, he still followed the rules and announced, the final champion of the two-man arena challenge is the Hidden Han family, Qianshan Gate. Old Master Zhao looked at Gate Master with a questioning gaze. If Wu Jindao didn't die and only one of his spirit beasts died, then he could still be the second place in the match. However, if both of them died, then it would be considered as a forfeit. Lin Yi, I'm going to kill you. It would have been better if old Master Zhao didn't mention it. Now that he asked, Gate Master was enraged. Looking at Lin Yi on the arena, his eyes were spewing fire. He let out a weird cry and wanted to jump onto the arena to kill Lin Yi. Gate Master don't be rash. Old Master Yu, who was next to Gate Master pulled him back and whispered, if you want to take revenge, you can't do it now. The hidden family's summit has always been watched by the ancient people. Fists and kicks have no eyes in the arena. Life and death are fated by fate. If Gate Master makes a move, then you'll be breaking the rules. Phew! Gate Master will calm down after hearing Old Master use words. He nodded and said, "Then I'll let that little bastard Lin live for a while. In the afternoon's additional match, I'll definitely kill him." "That's right. If we kill him during the match, no one will be able to find fault with it." Old Master, you nodded. "Old Master Zhao, my disciple with Jindao has already." Gate Master was sighed. "The Qian Mountain Gate will withdraw from this battle." Old Master Zhao nodded and announced the results. The Qian Mountain Gate will withdraw from the third-place match between the Hidden House Shuang and the Hidden House. You will be upgraded to the second and third-place match. On this side, since Old Master Zhao had announced the withdrawal of the Qian Mountain Gate, the Hidden House Yu and the Hidden House Shuang naturally changed from a life and death battle to a slow sparring session. The disciples of the Hidden House Yu saw that the two Zhuang brothers were indeed strong, so they didn't want to continue fighting. They cupped their fists and said, "The two Zhuang brothers are indeed famous. We admit defeat." At this time, the second and third place were almost the same. Who would be willing to fight for this? Lin Yi took first place and completely messed up the internal order. Since they couldn't get first place, second and third place were almost the same. "Hee, thank you for letting me win." Zhuang Niaoqiang cupped his fists and said he actually didn't want to fight anymore. The Hidden House Shuang and the Hidden House, you didn't have any personal grudges. There was no need for the two houses to fight. If the Hidden House Yu didn't admit defeat, Zhuang Niaoqiang wanted to admit defeat as well. After all, the second and third place had already become Lin Yi's background. They didn't have the glory of being in the top 3 of the previous Hidden House Summit. Chapter 2134. Everyone's only thought was that the meeting should end as soon as possible, so that they wouldn't embarrass themselves. Second place is the Hidden House Shuang. Third place is the Hidden House Yu. Elder Zhao said, "The houses after fourth place have a chance to challenge each other. Is there anyone who wants to challenge?" This challenge made the two brothers of House Pai's heart skip a beat. Now that Lin Yi was injured, if they challenged the first place, would they win? Or would Lin Yi be injured and surrender? Thinking of this, Pai Jishan looked up at Old Pai. Elder Pai knew what Jishan was thinking from his eyes. He sighed and shook his head. "Jishan, our Hidden House Pai is weak and we can't handle this. From what I see, I'm not a match for that Lin Yi. If Lin Yi surrenders now and takes revenge later, our Hidden House Pai will be finished." "Yes, Grandpa, I was too impulsive." Jishan's heart skipped a beat, thinking of this possibility. Yes, Lin Yi might surrender now, but that moment of happiness would bring about the destruction of their house. Looking at the spirit wolf and with Jindao's state, Jishan didn't doubt that Lin Yi could destroy their Hidden House Pai, just as Grandpa, a sky-class early-phase physical practitioner, wouldn't be able to stop Lin Yi's power. Enemies don't have to be enemies forever. He doesn't have any family feud with House Pai. Our House Pai only lost some normal disciples and distant relatives. Elder Pai said faintly, "Look at the Hidden House Yu. Their Qi gathering pill was stolen, and the common House Yu was destroyed. Aren't they enduring it too?" "Yes." Jishan nodded, but then thought of something else. He lowered his voice. "That Lin Yi, can he last past the extra round in the afternoon? Would the Gone Mountain Sex when Master let Lin Yi go back alive? Even if we win against Lin Yi, we still need Lin Yi's life to take revenge, right? Jishan, if you want to be the head of the family, you need to have a long-term and cautious vision. You can't be arrogant, and you can't do risky things. Don't touch anything that might cause the family to be doomed eternally." Elder Pai said, "Our Hidden House Pai isn't the strongest hidden house, but we're the most stable." "Why is that?" This is because we seek development through stability, different from those clans that seek wealth through danger. Before, when Lin Yi's lackey killed Jinwudi, you made the right decision to rush back to the family. But today, why did you let the stakes get to your head? This. Pai Zhishan's forehead was covered in cold sweat. Yes, these few days he was really driven mad by the bet. Look, before any match, who would be optimistic about Lin Yi? But the result? Elder Pai said, "What's the point of the bet? As long as our hidden house, Pai, doesn't fall, we can still find it slowly. But once we offend that Lin Yi, do you think we'll stop? Even if Lin Yi dies and his lackey comes to beat us up, who can take it? Yes." Zhishan thought of Ergooden's power and quickly nodded. "Grandpa, I understand. And if Lin Yi doesn't die this time, haha, this'll be fun." Old Pai looked at Han Tianba not far away and said with envy, "The hidden house of Han is so lucky." The ranking of the double arena challenge is out. The champion is the hidden house Han, the second is the hidden house Shuang, and the third is the hidden house Yu. Please come up to the stage to claim your winnings. Elder Zhao said. Although Lin Yi was healing himself, they couldn't delay the others just because of Lin Yi. They still had to go through the process of claiming their winnings. So this time, Hidden House Han was the same as the other houses. Han Tianba came to claim his winnings, but he didn't know if Lin Yi needed the Hidden House Shuang and House Yu's treasures, so he didn't dare make the decision to trade. He took a look and realized that the treasures that Hidden House Shuang and House Yu took out were from their own treasure vaults. If Lin Yi needed it, then he could just take it from their vaults. There was no need to trade with them, so he just took the winnings from Lin Yi. Elder Han, it seems like you don't have the right to trade with us. TSK, I wonder if it's you or Lin Yi who's in charge of the Hidden House Han Tianba? Elder Zhuang said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. This was supposed to be the champion of Hidden House Shuang, but it was taken by Lin Yi. He wasn't happy about it and wouldn't let go of any chance to make fun of him. Mr. Lin, of course. Han Tianba smiled and said, Our Hidden Han family is under Mr. Lin's leadership. Is there a problem? Han Tianba didn't think it was humiliating at all. Instead, it was like he was talking about something glorious, pointing out Lin Yi's position in the hidden house. You are giving up. Seeing that his provocation had failed, old Master Zhuang snorted resentfully. Some families say the grapes are sour because they can't eat them. I understand. Han Tianba laughed. Han Tianba and Elder Zhuang were at loggerheads. The other elders seemed to be chatting, but they were all looking in the same direction at Lin Yi on the stage, especially sect leader Wall. He felt that it was impossible for Lin Yi to survive. With the human beast unite, he could defeat enemies of a higher level. He could even kill a peak early-stage heaven ranked master. How could he not kill Lin Yi? Although a few cultivators had not used up their true qi and could use it to prolong their lives, Lin Yi should be dead by now. These people wanted to see how Lin Yi was doing. Was he dead? Was he injured or disabled? So they were supposed to go back for lunch, but they didn't want to leave. If Lin Yi couldn't make it, not only would he lose the championship, these people would definitely hold a banquet to celebrate, especially the Hidden House Shuang. It was like regaining the championship after losing it. Lin Yi was in the jade space, but he knew what was going on outside. He knew what these people were thinking, so he didn't dare to be careless. He quickly used the art of dragon mastery to heal himself. His injuries were too serious this time. There wasn't a single part of his body that wasn't injured. Chapter 2135. Lin Yi had to return to normal and appear in front of these people. Otherwise, not only would he be in danger, the Hidden Han family would be in danger too. Although these people couldn't do anything to him on the surface, they would definitely have other tricks up their sleeves. So Lin Yi had to work extra hard to heal his injuries as soon as possible. These people were all harboring evil intentions, especially the Qian Mountain factions with faction leader, who couldn't wait to kill Lin Yi. Lin Yi had to be on guard against this old thing trying to assassinate him in the middle of the night. If he teamed up with the Golden Clock faction's Diamond Drill to deal with him, then he really had to be on guard. Bones and internal organs had all been repaired by Lin Yi. Next was the meridians. This was also the first time Lin Yi had used the second stage of the art of dragon mastery to remodel his body. What surprised Lin Yi was that the bones and internal organs repaired by the second stage of the art of dragon mastery were clearly different from before. They were much sturdier than before. Just like when he used the body-tempering elixir to refine his body, Lin Yi could already feel the difference in his body. But after this full recovery, Lin Yi felt the difference again. This situation made Lin Yi very surprised. Jiao Lao, my body seems to have become sturdier after the second stage of the art of dragon mastery. Lin Yi asked secretly. I'm also observing. Jiao Yazi said, according to my memory, the second stage of the art of dragon mastery is indeed more magical than the first stage. It's not surprising that you're stronger than the first stage after using the second stage to repair your body. You've really profited from a disaster this time. Ever since I started practicing the second stage of the art of dragon mastery, this is the first time I've been completely injured. Previously, whether it was against the Earth-class men in black or during the combat, there had never been a situation where his entire body was broken. So this time, it was a bit like the legendary breaking and rebuilding. Could it be the benefit of the second stage of the art of dragon mastery? But the art of dragon mastery didn't mention it? If that's the case, it's really a blessing in disguise. Lin Yi nodded. But why didn't the art of dragon mastery mention it before? I don't know. One possibility is that my memory hasn't fully recovered. I know, but I can't remember. Jiao Yazi said straightforwardly, there's another possibility, which is that Grand Marshal Uncle doesn't know either. After all, this is an ancient mantra that no one has cultivated before. Grand Marshal Uncle made some cultivation plans based on his own speculation. I see. Lin Yi nodded. The meridians were finally repaired by Lin Yi. However, the repaired meridians were much thicker than before. This situation surprised and delighted Lin Yi. The thicker meridians meant that they could absorb more true qi. In this way, their strength would also increase. After the meridians were repaired, Lin Yi began the journey of recovering his strength. Lin Yi had used up too much true qi and stamina, so he needed to replenish it. However, when Lin Yi was about to replenish his true qi, his face suddenly changed. Lin Yi was shocked to find that he was about to break through. From the looks of it, after his meridians were repaired, they became thicker, and after absorbing more true energy, there were signs of a breakthrough. If Lin Yi were to rush up now, he might very well break through to Earth-class mid-phase. But Lin Yi was hesitating. Breaking through was something worth celebrating. Lin Yi had just broken through to Earth-class early-phase peak not long ago, and now he was about to break through to Earth-class mid-phase. This speed made Lin Yi very satisfied. Of course, part of it was Wang Xinyan's contribution that allowed Lin Yi to basically reach the barrier of Earth-class early-phase peak. But the injury this time and the repair of his meridians were very important. So if you thought about it carefully, this sign of a breakthrough this time was actually not too strange. The problem was that breaking through here would expose Lin Yi's trump card in front of everyone. At that time, everyone would know that Lin Yi only had the strength of Earth-class mid-phase, not some Sky-class suppressive strength. This way, the mysterious pressure that Lin Yi had created for the elders and sect masters would no longer exist. From their point of view, Lin Yi only had some trump cards and luck. It was not strength at all. To be honest, if the current Lin Yi were to go head-to-head with a Sky-class early-phase master, there was absolutely no chance of winning. Even if a Sky-class early-phase master fought Lin Yi, if he didn't die in one move, he would definitely die in two. This was why Lin Yi was in a dilemma right now. Should he break through in one go, Or should he stop and look for an opportunity in the future? This was a question that kept going around in Lin Yi's mind. But he couldn't make up his mind right now. After all, breaking through was a rare opportunity, and to a practitioner, other than those rare geniuses or inheritors, not everyone would be able to break through after reaching the bottleneck like it was when the conditions were right. Stopping at a bottleneck and looking for a breakthrough required opportunity and enlightenment. This was also why the hidden house you wanted the chi gathering pill so badly. After all, little Chen, you had been stuck at Earth-class late-phase peak for a long time now. So, if Lin Yi stopped now and didn't break through because he was full of energy and stamina, then when would he be able to break through again? After all, this kind of opportunity couldn't be created, and it wasn't something that could be broken through just because you wanted to. When Lin Yi was stuck at mystic late-phase peak, he had experienced this firsthand. He had no choice but to use the chi-gathering pill to force a breakthrough. Whatever, he'd give it his all. Lin Yi clenched his teeth. So what if they knew his background? He still had a trump card that he hadn't used yet. If those sky-class old men were to team up with others to kill Lin Yi, then Lin Yi wouldn't just stand there and do nothing. With that thought, Lin Yi once again increased the speed of the second stage of the art of dragon mastery. When he was thinking, he purposely slowed down the speed of the chant, but he didn't stop. He was afraid that if he stopped, he wouldn't be able to break through again. In an instant, a large amount of pure energy flowed from the jade space into Lin Yi's body, and the energy of heaven and earth around Lin Yi was also channeled over, forming a huge chi whirlpool above Lin Yi's head. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.